it's definitely like she's definitely like I don't know why she's there. Because she said nothing the whole time.
She's
She
just
just looked like
watching.
Amber Heard uh,
Yeah.
the whole time. So it's kind of like, okay, thanks for
Okay.
being here.
Thanks for watching. I guess, I mean, better to know what you're being accused of so you can make more content about it, I guess, the devils and such.
Yeah.
But since we're talking, and we saw the boo thing in the background of that one shot, hold on.
Boo thing.
It was in the background. We're going to talk about his possible alleged indiscretions today. Here he is again. And
A man of Jesus.
a man of Jesus, of course, couldn't stop the gates of hell without a man of Jesus beside you. But he has been a big part of her content since she switched from fitness influencing to Jesus influencing. So he's in a lot, and they talked about their wedding and their marriage and how amazing and how they're godly and how they're better than everyone else. Like the typical, like, holier than thou content that you've probably seen throughout Instagram from time to time. But he's got a little dirty secret type thing. And the ACLU actually has, talked about it on their website, and it involves police brutality. So let's give another trigger warning for this one, because it is sort of a serious issue, more so than like funny. But the ACLU filed a lawsuit over, and it turned out, I guess, I'm going to say alleged because, I'm not deeply entrenched into this lawsuit, but that he is the former Kansas City police officer who was in this video. That's what it appears to be. And he's going to use his own words to talk about it in just a minute. So, okay, here's the video. Let's watch it and then we can read. Actually, let's read about it first. So this is from the ACLU's website. It says, Black people in Missouri are disproportionately stopped or harassed by police. 20 years of collected data shows Black drivers are stopped at a rate 85% higher than white drivers. And too many police departments across the state regularly use disproportionate force in dealing with minority individuals. Missouri offers yet another example. Josh Bills, a Black man living in Kansas City, found himself on the receiving end of just this kind of police misconduct. In December 2013, walking blocks from his home, Bills was approached by 5 officers who surrounded him. He greeted the officers calmly. He stood with his hands down to his sides at a 45-degree angle. He did not act aggressively. The police stopped him because of a call about a Black man, Black clothing. Then the encounter went south, a scene emblematic of radicalized policing that is all too familiar. Despite being cooperative with the officers, Officer Jordan Nelson, which is apparently this guy, who is Brittany Dawn's now husband, without warning, grabbed one of Bill's arms and violently kicked his legs out from under him, smashing his face into the concrete. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, so that's what we're about to watch. So if that's not something that you want to watch, I don't blame you, but here we go. This is the dash cam that shows the video. So, okay. It's 3 minutes and there's no audio. So, that's what they described. They're approaching him. Like they said, there's 5 of them.
Oh my God.
So I guess that's the moment when they're like, he's just standing there doing nothing, and all of a sudden they're like kicking him to the ground. Now you can't hear. Yeah, his face was smashed, into the pavement, and they're letting this guy just lay there, and then finally other people come. But like, what was he doing? Like.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So apparently the guy who came in, the one that did the kicking of the legs, that was Jordan, the Brittany Dawn's husband, allegedly. So he would have been, let's see.
That is so awful.
That one kicked him right there just to fall down.
I can't.
So, yeah. So sorry. It's not good.
Oh my God. That is awful. That is... Why? Like, why did... Obviously, I know why, but like, it just makes no sense. This person is not dangerous. They're sitting there. They're not doing anything. Like, what is going on? Why? I know why, because racism, duh. But like, I just...
Yeah, it's common. It's very common here. You know, it's like, I'm in control. I'm the law enforcement person, and you got to do what I got to do. And, you know, they use like the strongest force possible. Like, you know, I'm glad he wasn't shot and killed. Like, you know, like sometimes I think the officers think like, well, at least I'm not doing that. This is like not a big deal. But I mean, being violently hurt is traumatic regardless. So yeah. So he's going to tell his side essentially of this story.
Did the guy ask for, like, did he sue or something?
I think the ACLU sued on his behalf.
Okay.
So that's how it became.
It was so awful.
Yeah.
He was literally just not doing anything. He was just like standing as requested. Like, what is? I don't get it.
Yeah. No, I agree. And yeah, Lauren says, "Is this the same husband that shot their dog?" Yes, that is the same one.
Yes.
Because she did a whole video about it. So this is the type of dude that is apparently besties with Jesus. You know, of course. Come here, girly. Come on. Tara wants to watch.
Hey, Taro.
She's been getting so much attention from streaming this week. She's like, I like this. all the scary parts are done. Now we're just gonna get his side of the story. So it's long. We're gonna have to skip around through parts. Let me. I think the guy's okay. I think he had issues with. Let me just double check that. Nelson. So he was fired, basically, Jordan Nelson was fired from the police force because of that incident.
Wow.
It says,
yeah,
okay, good. Yeah. Let's see. Bills has been denied justice, so that's the victim, has been denied justice for the violation of his Fourth Amendment rights. So the ACLU of Missouri sued. And then, so he's alive. Yeah, he says, this isn't the first time this has happened to me when a police officer has said, hey, you look suspicious for no reason other than my skin color. It's not even the first time I've been roughed up. It's just the first time I've been able to draw attention to it. My existence shouldn't be cause for concern. So Bills was held. So the victim, the guy who got smashed to the ground, was held in jail for 2 weeks without bond following the incident, and he lost his job.
Why would they hold him in jail? Oh my God, this is so awful.
I don't know what his accusation was. It doesn't say that. Like what they held him, what was the charge?
What, that he was wearing black and he was black?
I don't know. Suspicious person? Yeah, I don't know.
In the article, it was like a man who was black was wearing black, and so what? Like everyone wears black jeans, and what's the problem with wearing black? Suddenly, I have like 90% of my closet is black. What's the problem with that?
Well, you're not black, so you're good. You're fine. You don't have to be worried. It's only when you are black and you wear black is when,
like, how dare you?
Against the law. I don't know what his. I can't get into the Kansas City newspaper because they blocked me because I can't. I'm not paying for one article. This article says, okay. Yeah, they filed it so the ACLU filed the lawsuit on behalf of the victim. And the ACLU said Nelson, kitty, stop, never tried to put him in handcuffs or ask him to put his hands over his head. Kitty, stop. Sorry. It doesn't say what he was charged with. I don't know. I can't, I shouldn't, I'll look it up later. But
well, I think if they held him in jail, there should be no charge, because normally the charge comes after a trial, right?
No, that's conviction. So usually to be held longer than like 72 hours, you have to have some sort of charge, whether that's disorderly conduct, evading arrest, like it could be, loitering. It could be loitering charge. I don't know. I haven't seen what the charge was. But if you don't pay your bail or you don't pay your bond, then you sit in jail basically until you do have a court date or they drop the charges. So
they just made up some charges to like keep him there.
I mean, maybe there may be something. Maybe he had a warrant. I have no idea. I'm not sure.
Wow.
But it seems like the big issue here is the brutality.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the perspective of Brittany Dawn's God-fearing husband. a podcast called, for the record, called Blunt Force Discussion. So there you go. This has 8,000 views, so it's sort of low.
What's going on, everybody? It's Anthony from #BeTheChange. Truth will set you free, and of course, now.
Before we even start, this looks like a spoof, like an SNL skit of like what a alpha male, like from Kansas, who has a podcast would look like. Just saying. You got the whiskey bottle, like, come on, man. Okay.
Blunt force discussion. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episodes that we have had to this point, the conversations we've had, those things that people have somehow in this country forgotten how to do, and talk about a little bit harder subjects and really talk about what's going on in the world.
Tell that to Brittany Dawn, who says that if you talk about her, you're the gatekeeper of hell.
And I'm going to lend myself to this conversation. I've got another person that agrees with a lot of my belief system on this episode. But if you know a frisk...
Don't be challenged. Don't worry, guys. I'm not going to be challenged on this. I've got an echo chambers right here. Like, it's all good. It's all good. Don't worry.
No one wants to have discussions anymore. So I brought on a person who has all the same beliefs as me to show them that they're right.
Make America think again. Yay.
I thought it said it first. I knew it wasn't because it doesn't make sense. But it's like, make America hink gay. That's what it looks like to me. Like, that's interesting.
Yeah, that would have been a much better message.
Make America hate gay. Like, what's that? Oh,
I would have bought that one.
Yeah.
Leftist or somebody that just has more of a left-leaning or democratic ideology that is also kind of a big effing deal in their own world. Bring them here. Doctors that are pro-vax, whatever it is. I want to have those conversations.
Oh, let's go on the show.
Continue to talk about stuff and have a hard conversation with people.
No, you need to agree with him in advance.
And ideology.
Oh, okay. We have to have the same perspective, but like, still reach out.
We're already not eligible.
Damn. We should start to try to like reach out to these dumbass, come have a discussion and then go have a discussion and watch them freak out.
Yeah. we could tell them like, no, yeah, I totally agree with you. Make America hink gay.
I'm a big deal in my world. How dare you?
I'm
so pro-vaccine, my dude. Like,
you're magnetizing me. Stop. Okay.
To that point, but. This episode is going to be a conversation involving what's going on in the world, where we are as a society in terms of policing, and also some of the complete and utter failures that unfortunately happen in this weird world of social justice warriors and supporting criminals and all the weird stuff that we do. But we've got a really cool guest, and I'm going to let him do a little bit more of an introduction on himself. He is a former police officer, which is the bulk of that story and the interesting part of the fact that it's former. We'll get into that, of course. And also he works with a counter human trafficking firm that we can't fully talk a ton about who they are, but what they do is pretty impressive. So we'll get into that as well.
If this is the fucking railroad society that Tony Robbins gives millions of dollars to, I'm going to freak out.
Oh, God.
Because Tony Robbins has like a whole, like, he supports this, like, it's called like the Railroad Project or some shit. And they go to like these foreign countries and try to like steal children. Allegedly, this is like this guy goes to like Costa Rica and tries to find kids who are in human trafficking, but there's no proof that they're like a part of anything. And they just like take them back. I don't know. It's so weird. I'm like, how is Tony Robbins involved in this? It's like very sketchy. So I'm interested to hear if that's what it is. Anyways.
Ladies and gents, Jordan Nelson.
What's up, brother?
What's going on?
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you as well.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's a good-looking hat you have on, but at one point I'm going to hook you up.
I appreciate that. I think that's
what
my
is
compensation
this? They're
for
like
being
flirting.
Here.
Well, yeah.
He's like, I like your plaid shirt. Where'd you get it?
Oh, I like your beard. I like your mustache. Like, oh, Jesus.
I like your hat. That looks exactly the same as my hat, but with different words on it.
Yeah.
As an ex-cop, and,
it looks exactly the same.
I'm still a little confused why I'm here because I know that there's a double meaning of blunt force discussion.
Yeah.
Big effing deal, right?
Yeah.
And I am not that.
Well, you got the tattoos, you play the part really well, and as we're going to get into, as I said, The police department that had to spend some money on your court case would probably say, if you weren't a big effing deal, then they probably shouldn't have spent them. They should have just let you wallow in millions of dollars.
And we'll get into that, but they got a pretty solid deal out of the thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem. It's a pleasure.
This is what's cool about this is my, with litigation and the media. Of course, the media doesn't want to report both sides of the story.
No.
So this is actually, though this occurred, the actual incident occurred almost 10 years ago from where we are now.
Okay, yeah, 2013, accurate.
And
you haven't spoken out because it's your own choice, I'm imagining.
if the media doesn't want to report it, why didn't you report it 10 years ago?
He's like, my hat was on back order and I didn't want to appear on camera without my Stone Glacier, North Carolina hat or whatever the fuck it says.
Like, why didn't
Montana.
your wife take your side? Like,
Oh, she did.
Well, she was charging people like $100 to $300 in 2013, 2014. Why didn't she speak out on your behalf since she had the platform?
She's defended him, but not with like specific details, I guess. But
Oh, like my husband is a good guy, I promise.
yeah, he's
Okay.
helping me hold back the demons.
Right.
I don't think she was even religious at the time. She was all about
Showing that ass, you know.
Jesus forgives, okay?
Yeah.
The court case occurred almost 6 years later, or about 5 years after that. And subsequently, this is the first time I've ever shared my perspective. I was never allowed to do any interviews. It was more, that's the coaching behind that was just going to be, you're perpetuating the news cycle. Let's let this die off.
Awesome.
Okay, so he listened to his team, is what that means.
Yeah. He made a mistake.
Okay.
Hired the wrong team.
Not to be an asshole and talk about physical anything, but like this guy's chair makes this guy look very small because he's not touching the ground. I just want to put that out there. This angle's a weird angle to put on your podcast.
He's a short king.
Short king.
There's no problem with short kings in my
No, we like
in
short
my
kings,
books.
but I'm just surprised they'd show that angle for no reason. It's not a good shot.
Just not that short king. I don't like that guy.
Make America short king gay.
So
Glad
super
to
excited
be able to
here.
have this conversation now. And we're going to talk about a wide range of things in terms of policing. We're going to talk about his story, which is a microcosm of everything that's actually happening in the world of policing. We're going to talk also about police failures, and we're going to do Shot Seat this week, and we're having a little fun with it. That girl has got a lot of ice cream. She just dropped some. That is, somebody help her. Help her with the ice cream.
You
She's like, I'll
help
take it.
her.
She's the
What the hell?
Oh, we also have your lovely wife here as
Yep.
well. It's going to be a fun show because you and I, we all
Oh,
got to
happy
meet
Brit.
each other a couple weeks ago, and we talked. And the great thing is about people that are kind of like us, salt of the earth is what I'll call it, is we can actually have a conversation, talk about different things we agree with, disagree with, and at the end of the day, we realize the world right now is a little bit of garbage.
Yeah, absolutely. And not everything that we discussed, we share the same.
Okay, we get it. You guys like to talk about things. We get it. We don't need a fucking 12-hour explanation. Like, he just did the whole intro. I love having conversations with people just the same as me. And now we're going to go into the second iteration of like, no, we're better than everyone else because we're able to have conversations. Okay, cool. Like, let's get to the fucking conversation.
Let's have the conversation. Well, we do that too, to be honest. Like, we
know.
go in tangents a lot.
We're better than everyone.
But we are not.
echo chambers for once. So
We are not problematic.
I am not problematic.
The same
Me
viewpoint
neither.
on.
Right.
But that's the importance of sharing and truly like meaningful dialogue is you don't have to share those views with everybody.
I mean, I think beards are for bitches and mustaches are for real men.
It's what did I tell you the first time I met you? I was like, "Oh, are you a fireman?" Which is, of course,
Because
you
I'm
know,
hot.
Yeah,
God, that's an awkward. I'm sorry.
told
that
you
have to
these
see
guys
that,
need a
but,
Yeah.
I mean,
They're flirting for sure. BFD,
Yeah.
big fireman daddy. Accurate. That's why he has men on the show. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm being mean.
definitely
know what-
flirting with.
that's why he dabbles.
Like-
no, I was just impressed, and thinking that you were a fireman. I was impressed that you weren't taking a nap, and you had just allegedly come from work, which is super rare.
What am I
Yeah.
watching?
I'm surprised you haven't beaten more black guys. Okay, that's too far. Too far. Too far.
Wait, go back, go back. Oh my God.
Holy Holy shit. This guy cannot take a joke either. He's like, oh, like it sounded okay. Oh my god, not him, okay. All right, let's just play it again.
Yeah, I'm surprised you have.
So he said, oh, I'm surprised like you weren't a firefighter, you're taking a nap. Okay, that's a fairly innocent joke about being a firefighter, and I think like cops and firefighters have like, you know, rivalry or whatever. This guy took it to the extreme.
And you had just allegedly come from work, which is super rare.
Yeah. I'm surprised that you haven't beaten more black guys. Okay, that's too far. Too far.
I was waiting for that one to come. That's awesome.
That's awesome. What the fuck?
I was waiting for that to come out. What do you mean? Wow, what is this? I feel like this guy, the mustache guy, what would it be his name?
The mustache guy?
Oh, and there's like, do you see this? There's a Bumble, Bethany?
Rumble. Whatever that is. I don't know what that is.
I thought it's Bumble. I was like, he's giving us his Tinder profile. It's all good.
In God's country, women make the first move. Here's my Bumble. Yikes.
But I feel like this guy is actually doing our job. Like, even though he's like, yeah, no, I just get guys that agree with me. I'm like, okay, well, this is a pretty interesting start to that.
Yeah, and maybe he's secretly on our side. This is all. It really does feel like a spoof. So maybe this guy, the host, is like spoofing everybody to get them to come in, and then like throws it down on them. I don't know. He's actually an idiot though, so I don't know. That was shocking. Okay, let's continue.
That was a good burn, I would say.
Jesus, that's awesome. Okay.
Thank you. I deserved it.
All right, and that's actually, sadly, where we're going to go a little bit with this conversation. Before we get into the actual case, you know, in this world where we don't respect cops enough, and I think that's probably the root of our problem in terms of crime in this country, sure as shit to me is in guns. You were a former police officer, SWAT. Why did you go into the world of policing?
Man, exactly that. I had an immense respect. So I was second generation. My dad was a police officer. I remember being a kid watching him get ready for work. I actually had my own belt that had, you know, obviously a fake gun, my fake pair of handcuffs, everything. And I would get dressed in my little uniform while my dad got dressed to actually go and be a police officer when I was super small. And man, I loved hearing his stories about truly helping people. And dude, there's going to be so much of this that sounds so cliche, but it's genuine, and it's what I grew up on and what I saw modeled for me. And my dad is by no means a perfect man, but
I'm so bored.
There was a lot of really great.
Go on. Talk more about your dad, please.
Oh, can you start at least when you were like 14 or something? Because like, are you just gonna give it to us like year by year? Like, I was 1, and then I had the uniform, and then I was 2, and then he gave me the handcuffs. Like,
I wonder if his dad is like ashamed because he like got kicked off the police force, which is like, you know, obviously like you probably did something really bad if you're kicked off the force, because a lot of times they'll just let you stay and put you on like an office job and then they put you back. So I wonder if his dad's pissed.
Yeah, maybe that's where he got his like training.
Yeah.
Instilled by him, and a lot of that came from life lessons, I think, around what he experienced as a police officer. And I saw that modeled, and I loved it. I fell in love with it. I went to school initially, played baseball in college, and
what position were you?
I was a shortstop.
Oh, so you actually worked? Okay.
Yeah,
that's. I mean, I was a first baseman and pitcher. If there was a position for firefighters.
Now, man, some of my best buddies are firefighters, and they might see this, and they know I love them.
And by the way,
you know, this pitcher and catcher are these positions later tonight. Ow. Okay, sorry. After this interview's over. Baby Dawn, go home. Brittany, I gotta do an after-hours interview with this man.
Yeah, hold on, your wife's watching. Let's kick it afterwards.
Did I take it too far? Sorry, Kitty. Yikes. Okay.
I have never been, just to be very clear, I've never been a firefighter. I just rock the mustache.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys that would be super jealous of that mustache, though. So
it happens.
But yeah,
really
just
hot.
saw
So
him growing
hot.
up. Went to school, came out. To my mother's chagrin, went directly into the police academy and started my career from there.
Yeah.
Spent just shy of 8 years on the streets, including the academy time. Had a couple of different assignments. Everyone starts off in patrol. I never wanted to be a detective. I never wanted to be promoted to be a sergeant.
Yeah, okay.
My goal from inception and from childhood was to go to a SWAT.
Inception.
I wanted to. It's it's the shows, the everything you read, everything you see, the movies about it is like, man, that's what I want to do. And so you got to do some minimum requirements. You got to be on 3 years before you can do that. So I went to patrol directly out of the academy. Was there for about a year, went to an undercover task force that worked with one of our detective units as kind of doing surveillance. We would track people. This was prior to the Ninth Circuit Court screwing that entire thing up. We used to be able to GPS cars without a search warrant. And so, of course, Ninth Circuit Court,
Good
California.
Good times. This is the people that say, like, the government's watching us. They're trying to put our things in our vaccines. And they're like, man, it really sucked when the courts gave people privacy. Ugh.
Yeah, to my mother's chagrin.
To my mother's chagrin, we could no longer follow people for no reason. Horrible. What a country we've become.
We can no longer jail people without like having a warrant or like, suddenly you have to like show respect or something. Like, wow.
Make it make sense, please. God.
Wow.
Mess everything up with.
Oh, bye,
And
Kitty.
he also wanted to be like a policeman since inception.
I didn't want to get promoted. That was part of my 5-year plan. I was like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Not promoted.
Duh.
Sure. Whenever you say, Jordan.
No, I've been wanting this since inception, but just the first like entry level job, nothing else.
My dream has always been to stay entry level, well into my senior years.
Small.
Thank you, Elizaveta.
Thank you,
Elizaveta. For that, we'll say
Scruffy cones.
and also
I am not emotionally stable.
that's what they're both
This is what
saying.
this guy feels right now. He doesn't know if he's like seduced by the other guy or what's.
They're definitely flirting. This
here.
is flirting.
Yeah.
Confirmed flirting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Brittany's
100%.
like over there on Instagram, like, Jesus is my Lord and Savior. And her husband is flirting with the
Husband is,
man.
like, planning the divorce.
It's like, your mustache is really hot. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. Ooh.
Anyways, okay, back to it.
So we did some cool stuff with that. Thought we specialized in surveillance. Worked on with a crew of about 7 other guys, and then went back to patrol for a short time. Was a training officer for a little bit, and then went through a selection process and was taken to full-time team.
Got it. Yep. So what was your, before we get into kind of why you left, but what was your, once you were there, what was your favorite part about being a SWAT officer, police officer?
Man,
The physical
favorite part
violence.
about being a police officer in general is typically
Shooting people.
you are someone's last resort. You are
Oh,
kind
wow.
of stand in that
mean
that
the last
stopgap
person they see?
between peace and
I love being someone's last resort. It's really a high priority on my schedule.
I like being the last person they see when they die.
Yeah, my dream in life is to be an
kill them.
entry-level police officer and be someone's last resort. Aim high.
Yeah, I like how that guy was like, okay, got it with the story.
Got it. I don't give a shit. Anyways, tell me about your favorite part about shooting people.
utter chaos.
Yeah.
And getting to really truly solve problems for people to the best of your ability or within the parameters that you're given by law is that, man, that's like that's a special feeling. Not everybody gets to experience that. Favorite part about being on our, so we weren't allowed to call it SWAT. SWAT's too aggressive. The team that I was on was called the Tactical Response Team, which went by TRT for short, or TAC.
When did that become too aggressive or something you couldn't say?
Prior to my time there, it was kind of always that way from my understanding.
The woke culture has started.
It started a long time ago, brother.
Yeah. It's slipped its
biblical times. Actually,
it's like, don't worry, they're on to me for a while.
They call it SWAT here, so I don't know. That must be a Kansas thing.
Yeah,
Kansas City thing.
You call them woke. I call them MySpace dudes.
Yeah. And isn't that like, okay, so you love being a part of the police force. The police force is the one who decides what's named what. So then you're saying, oh, that's the cancel culture. It's like, no, that sounds like the police force made a choice for some reason. And that's the organization you love so much. So again, like, okay, I don't know. I don't really get it.
Way in there, just like,
can't
call it SWAT. It's too tough.
SWAT's too aggressive.
It's triggering.
Like it was even there was even rules and parameters around, like, so obviously we wore BDU pants. We wore all black BDU pants.
Call the police.
Under Armour t-shirts with like what are called like jump out vests over top and like drop down leg holsters and stuff. And they were even very cautious of like where we could go in that uniform. Like, oh no,
because you were triggering.
It was aggressive looking. I'll give you that. But all of our stuff is exposed as opposed to being in a gun belt.
I bet that aggressive looking gear thrown in front of an elementary school would stop an asshole from coming in. I'm just throwing that out there.
I don't know if we're gonna get to
that. No, it doesn't. You fucking idiot. God.
Look at like that finger.
This is a little older, so I don't think Uvalde had happened yet, but like, yeah, this is from July, so that happened later. Oh no, actually, I don't know. When did Uvalde happen? Because that did not stop the shooter from coming into that elementary school. The cop that was on campus during the Stoneman Douglas shooting didn't stop. The guy like ran away and got charged because he did not save anybody at all as a cop. So just having a cop on campus does not stop a school shooting. That's ridiculous. That's like a proven thing that it doesn't deter when someone's determined to shoot up a school. So that makes me mad.
That makes sense to me because, sorry, I feel like most people who I read this article at one point that was saying that most people who were school shooters were men, and in most cases,
essentially,
and in most cases they had a sort of mental disorder of sorts that. Like, so it's not like they were like a reasonable person in an act that might see a policeman and might get scared to be like, ooh, I might get to jail, so like I'm just gonna stop. They're most of them, or not, I don't know if most, some of them commit suicide. So it's like it's not a person in there that is thinking clearly in that moment. So the police officer being there would not like deter. It makes sense to me. Like,
no, it's not a deterrent, and they have guns, so it's not. And this is not a new thing. At least in Florida, I can speak for being a student here. We always had officers, at least one on campus at all times, and they have a gun. Like, I don't think that anyone's fighting, at least at the time, like against having cops on campus. I just don't think there's any evidence that it's deterred anything from anyone doing anything. And so he's like, oh, woke culture is making it safe. It's like, this is not even a real issue that exists. So, okay, like he's trying to like, get people riled up like it's Fox News. And it's like, at least find something that's real. How about like a real issue? Because no one's saying no cops on campus, I don't think.
Yeah. And also, why is he like the spokesperson for the police now that he's been fired?
Yeah, exactly. The police are like, please don't speak for us.
The police are like, we don't know this guy.
Yeah, you're not under force anymore for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other guy is like, I don't know where he comes from. I'm interested to look into his history because he seems like a dope.
That,
we will.
Holy buckets.
Yeah.
That's a lot to digest. And that is one of the responsibilities on said SWAT team was to teach active shooter response. And we will just give a little icebreaker there. That's not how you do it, Uvalde.
No.
Like that's 1000% the opposite of what you do.
That is how you sanitize your hands though in the middle of a.
So how, okay, then explain it. Then, so what, okay, so Uvalde did happen in May. So, okay, that's a police force. They had guns, they were on campus, they were there. So, okay, so what's the solution? It's not more guns then. So your whole fucking point was just completely erased.
Look,
no logic needed. Okay.
This make to me as a European, have maybe seen one what do you call it? Like a soldier. One soldier wearing like actual weapons once in an airport. To me, the guns thing, like that is, I do not get it. Like I don't understand how it's like a thing in the 21st century in a first world country. Like it makes so little sense. I saw this TikTok being like, this was a while ago, but this was a person saying like, how do you guys like do your trials? It was a teacher who was asking like on TikTok, like, how do you do your what do you call it when you're like testing out you're like teaching people how to react in the case of a shooting or something,
like a training,
like that sort of thing. So she was asking about that, how people do that in Europe when we don't have guns, and we're like, we don't.
Yeah.
It was like it was so obvious, like, you know, like you don't need to do that because there's no guns to, you know. And that person just like was like, what?
How? But what if someone's like, yeah, well, there's not access.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. Yeah, it's totally different in America. And you know, we didn't do it. And I was in school, there was no active shooter trainings. Columbine had already happened, but it's much more common now to do active shooter trainings. And it does help. So they say it helps the teachers barricade the door and shut the lights off and, you know, call in. But then again, not in every circumstance. Uvalde was a great example of like a complete failure on every possible, you know, helper that was supposed to be there and do what they, you know, were meant to do, failing. So even if you practice and have a whole system, it doesn't guarantee safety for anybody, really. Anyways.
No, and it's also a very different situation when it's real, because like people react differently when their lives are at stake. It's not
totally
like, oh, the training told us to, like, you know, it doesn't matter what the training told you really at that point. I feel like it's survival instinct that comes in. And
yeah, you do the best you can. Thank you, Nam.
Thank you, Nam.
Active shooter.
Either that or that's how, and I saw some things that I believe just came out today of the guy texting and checking his phone.
I didn't see that part. I mean, Casey and I, who's in the back room, who's going to help us out with some of the clips on the show.
Casey, like the same name as Joe Rogan. Get a fucking original thought, idiot. Sorry. God. It's the guy's name that helps on the Joe Rogan podcast. Like, you really had to hire someone named Casey for that? Okay. God.
Yeah, well, he's got an idol now.
Yeah, I can tell who his idol is. It's Joe Rogan, as every other guy his age is.
The hour of not just the 4-minute clip, and it's like there's so many just things like what is happening with that, and then the weird, and it's unfortunate because I hate a freeze frame that misinterprets a situation, but for a guy before the shooter was taken down to be getting hand sanitizer, to me is just absolutely ridiculous.
What are you
Did you
talking
see that
about?
clip?
So I haven't watched any clips.
Smart.
And the reason why is I read the time breakdown. And just based off of what I know from my training.
He goes, did you see the guy texting on the phone? Oh, I didn't. I've watched no clips.
In my experience,
like, no, I was trained to.
I was trained to just
kick them.
Believe. Yeah, you're supposed to just kick the shooter immediately. That's what I would have done.
Regardless of how peaceful they are. Actually, the more peaceful, the more you kick them, you know, like.
This is making me mad.
I'm hoping that there is some type of mitigating circumstance.
There's not. I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. It's pretty bad.
I'm hoping.
I'm an expert.
And I'm also cognizant of what we're about to talk about.
Get to it. God.
A video of me doing my duties as a police officer has been shifted in the media and taken completely out of context.
I'm ready.
Okay.
So
Explain it, baby. Explain
cognizant
it.
and mindful of, man, you never want a Monday morning quarterback an officer because you don't have the information and you don't have the experiences that they are experiencing real time in a stressful, situation. That's not fair.
No, it's not.
And so I try to look at it.
What was the stressful situation? Some guy wearing black? Like, what exactly is stressful about that? Some guy was like on the street walking peacefully. Oh,
no.
We are so 8 police officers. We were so stressed. Like,
no, there's more to it. There's more to it. You just have to listen to this next hour of him explaining about other random things to get to it. And so, okay, so Caffeinated Angel says a cop in the school hallway took hand sanitizer from a dispenser while the shooting was happening. Yeah, that is weird. But I think the guy, the podcast host, is trying to make it like a woke COVID thing. Like, oh, it's COVID's fault. It's like, so the police force is good or the police force is bad? Like, which one is it? Because you're saying it at both times, and it's like, okay, so if the hand sanitizer thing, like that was the cop's choice to do that. That has nothing to do with like COVID protocols, but I feel like he's trying to like combine the two to make outrage, like, oh, it's woke culture. It's like,
don't worry. There's the police that put in those, rules of not leaving your house and like, staying 5 meters away from people and having your bubble. Like those were not, it didn't come from the police. It came from above the police. But
yeah, you're law enforcement officers. Yeah. You're enforcing the laws that exist. Yeah. And it's like, okay, but only when it's convenient. All right, cool. All right, sorry, back.
Objectively, I don't want to view a video. I don't want to see any of that. I'm looking at sheer facts of a timeline of what guys were doing, and it's not right. It's not good. And I'm with you. I hate the money. And that I was very like, let's pump the brakes in the beginning, like it's shaming the police officers, because again, my first intention is always like they're human beings as well, and let's just wait.
Okay, so people getting fucking drop kicked on the street aren't human beings. Okay.
So he's like, he pumped the brakes on shaming the police? Like, what?
Sounds very shamey to me.
When did he do that exactly? Or like, why? This is not, and also this is not like we're shaming the police. It's like, no, this case, this happened, we're talking about this one thing. We're not like, it's not a broad generalization of like, this is all about everyone, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just.
Yeah, they're doing that. They're saying like leftists believe in vaccines. Like, okay, that's a very general statement there and not necessarily true. So now they're going to speak for all police and they're going to speak for all, people walking down the street. It's like, okay, all right. I don't know.
In the hour something of the ineptitude, it's like, this is where people say if you're going to call it a failure, call it the failure. I have to call it the failure. But we might get a little bit more into that at one point. But I want to finish up your story as a cop and then get into what happened. But so why did you end up leaving the force?
So as you know, there's.
And you were Kansas City. We haven't said that.
So I was with Kansas City, Missouri, and
Kansas City, Missouri Tactical Response Unit, aka SWAT. Sorry,
TRT or TAC. Yep.
Whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tactical response
in between.
Yeah, so much less harsh words. Stupid.
Yeah, this incident actually occurred just before I went to our tactical response team. Okay. And
so you weren't even on the fucking tactical response team. Okay.
It was like, oh, I want to be on it.
Yeah, I'm going to show my stuff.
Right,
okay,
can I please come with you?
Yeah, look, I'll knock him over. I should be on the team.
I was in patrol, and we.
Okay, so you were a road cop. You were like the entry level. Your dream was to be entry level. Okay, so you were there. So you weren't even on the SWAT team that you talked about for the last 15 minutes. So what the fuck is even the point of talking about it? Okay, sorry. I'm very, very mean, but these people make me aggressive.
Yeah. He was living the dream at that moment in time.
we received a your question was, why did I leave?
Yeah. Not the story.
The common misconception here, of course, there's some media or internet buzz around this. A lot of people think I was fired.
Yeah.
I was 1,000% not fired. I left actually in 2016 on my own accord. I had a friend of a friend who, so I came on in 2000. I was hired in 2000.
I didn't know that. So that is news to me. I thought he was fired. So it's actually worse because they let him
they're all in on it.
Yeah, that's worse. Okay.
2007, hit the streets in 2008. Well, that's right in the middle of financial crisis, right? Mm-hmm. So my academy class, we did not have the budget to hire officers. So I was a part of a federal grant to hire officers. Mm-hmm. Well, thankful for the opportunity and thankful that I had that job, but they didn't write in pay raises. So no one...
The excuses for why he didn't get promoted are so funny. Well, it's because of the 2008 financial crisis that I did not move up the ranks, but that was also my choice, and I didn't leave on my own accord. That was also my own choice. Like, okay, it's very self-conscious sounding to me.
Yeah. Yeah, but there are like so many circumstances, and it's because of them. I was perfect.
Yeah, the federal government is horrible, and I hate them probably most likely. But also there was a grant, but also they didn't give me a raise. Like, okay, sure.
And there's a portion of the subsequent years, 09, 10, 11, where no one got raises.
Yeah.
So we were in really, by the time I had made it to a tactical team, I was still making the same as the kids coming out of the academy, and so.
He was a total hero. He wasn't even there for the money. He was like, like guerrilla style. Like it was just, he was there for helping people. Mm-hmm. He wasn't doing it for the pay. That's what he's trying to say here.
Yeah, he's like, once I got with Brittany, who was making millions of dollars apparently, somehow scamming people, I was like, I guess I can leave now.
Thank God, my girlfriend.
Yeah,
was scamming all those people, because otherwise, if we were to live on my salary, entry level,
and I think I don't know what the police budget was, but whatever. Like that's like okay, 2007 to 2012. Like the financial situation had sort of been a little better. I don't buy that was the only reason he didn't get a raise. Personally,
I genuinely believe that he's trying to make it like. No, I wasn't in this for the money. I was here for my
friends.
dream and whatever.
Yeah.
I think this is the point because
it's a weird way to tell a story.
Because what other point could he possibly have about the money? I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know.
I hate the whole how much money did you make? You're not a police officer anymore. So I want to have a conversation because I think that I think it's very important for people to realize that police officers they really get paid a lot like teachers. It's not really
no shit.
So what was when you are, again, facing bullets in the line of fire, being on a tactical response, aka SWAT.
He wasn't on the team. He just said that.
What was your rate that was locked in?
$51,000 a year.
Risking your life on a daily basis.
What's crazy is that per our department's policy, we did not qualify for hazardous pay increase. The only people that got hazardous pay were bomb techs and canine officers.
And firefighters.
Interesting.
And maybe motorcycle guys, like the wheel guys.
Got it.
One of my best buddies. I can't specifically remember. I think they might have gotten it. That's a 1,000% the most dangerous job on the police department. A wheel officer.
Really?
Absolutely. Those guys go down all the time.
Interesting. I guess
people just don't pay attention. They don't pay attention to motorcycles.
Texting and driving.
Yeah, well, the people pull out in front of them.
And they don't even pull over when they're it's a motorcycle, which is ironic because they can go faster than anybody else.
Right? Yeah. So, we 51,000.
Yeah, and you're allowed, at least in Florida, you're allowed to work overtime as like a security officer. So a lot of the cops do security work on the side and make. I think 51 to me sounded like actually like pretty decent for a government job. Personally,
and that was years ago. That's not even now. It's like,
yeah, it's not too bad, and especially if you're in the Midwest. I think you could probably make that stretch. I'm not saying like, oh, they shouldn't make more, but I think it's kind of like one of those things. It's like, yeah, you sort of know that. If you're a teacher, you sort of know that what the pay range is. I don't know. I don't have that much sympathy.
I don't know if it's just Romania. I think it's multiple. I think it's in the UK as well. But there's other benefits as well in terms of like being a state employee, which is, you know, if you're a policeman, you'd be an employee of the state. You have like insane pensions and stuff like that. And, you know, there's like a lot of things I don't even know really, like to the extent to which they go. But
Yeah.
it's like, it's not just the money that it's like, or not just the money that you get in your hand. Like there's a whole thing that comes with it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's
Plus the bribes. And
the feeling of power, you know, a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
Okay.
$1,000, man. Give or take a touch, but yeah, that was the rate.
Yeah.
Give or take a
which
touch.
is not a lot.
Which I make it by Kansas City teacher at that time was probably about
Give
the
or
same.
take another
They
50.
only worked 9 months here.
No, what are you talking about, man? Teacher, no. Most teachers, like, I think make like 30,000. He's like, oh, that's like the same. They have like time off. Like, okay,
give or take a touch, but yeah, that was
Hold on, I went back.
Yeah, that's crazy.
which is not a lot.
Which I make it by Kansas City teacher at that time was probably about the same, and they only work 9 months here. And that's not saying anything negative about teachers in any way, shape, or form. Everybody's got
Yes,
their
it is.
purpose. But I think people that are automatically, and it's an important precedent to set, those that are automatically judging police officers like that's their job, it is. But a teacher isn't really risking their life unless you think COVID's going to kill you, which we could have a whole nother discussion on why that's ridiculous.
I fucking hate this guy. And how many cops were killed in school shootings last year? 0. How many teachers were? Like a dozen. So that is a little bit more dangerous, perhaps.
I also don't think like it's like what is this comparison between because there's like this idea that teachers you're getting paid kind of like teachers, and then suddenly now we're comparing teachers as people and as their job. Like why are you comparing a job that has nothing to do? Like why don't you compare them to the firemen again? Like, you know, like
go be a teacher then. Go be a teacher. No one's stopping you, man.
Also, no police officers have like 24-hour shifts. I don't think. Like everyone has shifts.
It's like 12. Like it could be 10, 12 hours, or it could be 8 hours. It depends on what their precinct does.
Yeah, and also teachers like just I don't get the comparison. Like what's this? Like suddenly they're trying to trash teachers now. Like shut up, dude. Just
they only work
on.
9 months out of the year. Fuck them. And this is true too.
It's not even. They work on on holidays too, because like they have to like prep for the next year, for the next generation. So they start actual work like way before students start. So they don't have the same. If the pupils or students start like in October, finish in July, that's not the situation for them. I think they do have like 1 month, but like that's it.
Yeah, and this is true too. I believe the statistic nationally is that more cops did die from COVID and COVID complications than they did from any gunfire in the last 2 years. So it's like, okay, so maybe it is more dangerous, like to be a teacher, technically, like how you look at the facts, and it's just the smugness, like, oh, I know all the answers. It's like, if you're really willing to have a conversation and be open-minded, you are not willing. He's unwilling. He has his facts, and that's it. He's not willing to go, well, let's think about that. And like, it's annoying. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah,
this
this guy's about to start a rally against teachers now.
Yeah, exactly.
Make America teacherless again. Like,
yeah,
what?
That's why he's a
What is going
podcast
on?
host. Okay, you're really doing your civil duty here, brother. Okay.
Yeah, you're the most in danger.
Yes, I'm the most in danger from cancel culture in my studio with plants and a TV screen and a bottle of whiskey with a hat on. Come on, give me a break.
Yeah, what's that bottle? I just saw it. Why is it? What is
It's
it
like
made
so
of?
Slow river blend. I will
Are they
never buy it on
drunk? Are they
purpose.
drinking?
Probably.
Just like, are they drinking straight from the bottle? There's no glasses.
That's a good point too. You don't have to be, you don't have to have any education to be a police officer. You can go to the academy, and a lot of times the police departments will pay for your tuition as well if they are in need, like with the federal grant to get people into the police academy. So to be a teacher in most states, you have to have at least a bachelor's degree, if not, something equivalent to that with like a certificate, depending. It's changing now because there's in such a shortage. But yeah, like you have to have student loans and things. So it's almost like worse because you have debt to pay off as a teacher.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay, wait. I'm gonna play it. I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be back in like 2 seconds.
For the most part. But it is, no matter how you look at it, a dangerous job, and daily becoming a more dangerous job because of the rhetoric that's out there.
You never know, man. Yeah, it's man. It was and I was around for the kind of the inception of the the BLM, the
Michael Brown.
Yeah, Michael Brown.
And I grew up in St. Louis, so you're pretty dang close. So
yep.
You were what years did you serve?
I was there 07 through 16.
16. So Michael Brown was what, 2012?
Yeah.
Right around there.
Yeah.
And Kansas City's 3.5, 4 hours away.
We're
so
hop, skip, and a jump, man.
Yeah, so you're probably dealing with very similar protests and riots and
absolutely.
Yeah, people ignorant to really what happened. And I always say, if I saw one more picture of Michael Brown in 8th grade instead of what he looked like when he, I'm like, it's how do people not see the manipulation in it?
Pretty different. Yeah.
Let's ignore the fact that he beat up a store owner right beforehand.
Yeah, so I left in 2016, man. I had left. I had a friend reach out to me, say, "Hey, man," and I kind of, I don't want to call myself. So I was somewhat of a catalyst for that. I think there's like one guy on my squad of 7 that are left.
Really,
multiple guys have left the department. The culture's changed. The your day in, day out. Kind of not even responsibilities, but just how you're treated.
Yeah.
And it starts to wear on you after a while.
Yeah, today's policing, and I want to make sure I take a note because I want to talk about the difference because I'm sure you still talk to people because it is a lot different. So you left because you had an opportunity to make real money because you weren't.
Yeah, I went in. I had a friend of a friend come to me and say, "Hey, man, like I can start you out." I went into medical device sales, and he said, "I can start you out, double."
Yeah.
What you're making, and that's not even selling anything. That's just your base salary.
Yeah.
And that
We're still talking about salaries again.
We're still talking about how trash it was to be a policeman. Like, dude, I don't know what you're doing here. Like,
I know. I can't tell if they're
it's
pro-police
so hard
or
to
anti.
Be a policeman. Yeah, he's just all about how much of a victim he is. Like in this situation, it's like, yeah, it's so hard to be a policeman, and that's why I kicked that guy to the ground. Like, is that the point? Because I don't. Is there any other point that he could be making by complaining how hard and how little pay he got? Like, I just don't understand it.
It's a free market, baby. If you don't want to, do the job, then go do something else. Go be a teacher and have a very easy life, according to the podcast host.
Yeah, exactly.
Or just scam people on the internet like your wife. Like, there's so many options. But I don't know if they're pro-police or they're not, because they're making it seem like our vantage point, our stance is that the police force, the SWAT team is cool and, police don't get enough respect. But in the next breath, they're saying the Uvalde police fucked up, didn't do their job. The police force are too woke. They're changing names because they're sensitive and they don't pay people enough. So it's like, are you pro-cops? Or are you not? Like, it's confusing and maybe they're just in the middle, but I feel like they think that they're pro-cops, but they've said like 20 things about them and the whole force and the whole system that it's wrong and bad.
Like, I'm expecting the hashtag defund the police to appear on the screen at any
exactly. Like, where is your perspective coming from? I'm confused. I don't know how to feel. It's interesting.
I don't know, but this guy's complaining is just a lot.
Whining.
Like, I'm sick of. Yeah, he's whining about being a policeman. It's like, you're not anymore.
You left on your own accord, according to you. So then, good, you're done with it. I bitch a lot about news industry and how poorly paying it is. And yesterday I was like, I need to move on from that. I just need to get the fuck over it. Like, I did it. It's over. Whatever. Like, let's all move on from our bad paying jobs.
Yeah, I agree. And from other things, too.
Yeah, exactly. It's time to move on. It's 2022, babes.
Yep.
It's our time. Time's up, okay?
That correlated. You're, as a police officer, ultimately you are going into stressful situations and you are kind of, not to sound trite or cliche, but you're winning people to think your way. You're solving problems. If you can go into a doctor's office and sell them a product that you're representing, you can win them and convince them to think your way. So there's parity in it, and was able to transition that. So left in 2016 on my own accord. To this day, have zero documented discipline on the police department. Was I complained on?
That's like,
absolutely.
That's not like a good thing. Like he should have had, if that is true, he should have had some sort of documented like
discipline.
I'm
confused by this. I really am. I am surprised. I mean, he is like spilling tea if it's true, but that shows like a bigger issue within the police department. How can the ACLU like sue and there's not one like review like to show that he was in the right at least?
He could also be lying.
I know, that's what I think.
Obviously, you know, he's like Brittany Dawn's husband, so Jesus is on their side either way, whether they say the truth or not. So it's all good.
Okay. Lie for the greater good.
Yeah, but you know, I don't know to what extent. I feel like I'm gonna do, because I am planning to do like a full deep dive into Brittany Dawn and how things got here. So I think I'm gonna like expand to do a deep dive into him as well.
The Brittany Dawn universe.
Yeah, exactly. Brittany Dawnville.
Dawnville. What do they call it? The dawn of the apes or whatever. What's the movie? It's like the dawn of the hell gates. I don't know. The dawn of the demons. The Brittany Dawn story.
Oh wow, that could be I could find like a little wordplay for like the series name. That would be fun.
Yeah, I support it. I'm a big fan. I love wordplay. It's so fun.
And you know what ultimately where this all came from was a dash cam video, right? Mm-hmm. Huge proponents for dash cam. I love dash cams. You want to know why?
Why?
It tells the truth. Mm-hmm. All the time you would get complained on. He said this to me. He called me a MFer, or he.
How are you gonna defend that then? So you didn't.
They
kick
tell
the
truth on this occasion too, right?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, did you see that? It was on the dash cam. You know what dash cams do? They tell the truth. It's like, okay. So what are you doing exactly?
So go on. Explain yourself, please.
You know,
I would love for this guy to follow, for the host of the podcast to follow that train of thought and be like, and you know, but.
Speaking of truth, let's hear yours. What happened in that video? Let's watch it in slow-mo. Okay, so then I was coming in from this side and I slipped on a piece of twig, and you can see the twig right there. And, yeah, I don't know. It was an accident. Okay, here we go.
Yeah,
whatever.
This dash cam was crap.
Yeah, this dash cam specifically was not working correctly. It was edited by the woke left, but, you know...
We had a technical issue with the dash cam.
I turned off my body cam and relied fully on the dash cam. Okay. Whatever. All right, let's get into it.
And they would review the video, and it's, good morning, Anthony, or good morning, sir. My name's Officer Nelson with the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. The reason I've pulled you over is for this, and it's 1,000% not what happened. So, man, dash cams, I never wore. I'm so old school, I guess. I never wore a body camera.
Yeah.
All I ever had was dash cams. But
I fucking knew it. I knew that body cams was going to be too much information, but dash cams is just enough to like, oh, see, nothing happened. But a body cam, like in some states, you are forced to wear it. You are legally obligated to wear it and have it on at all times. So I'm surprised that he had a choice to not wear his body cam. And why would he pick not to if he believes in telling the truth? Bullshit.
Yeah, it's technical issues. Sometimes you get logged out of your body cam. So.
I got logged out of my body cam PayPal account. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that one, but guys, thanks to your millions.
That's funny. Okay. Tara's back.
Absolutely 1,000% helped you more than harmed you.
So, and would you be a proponent now of body cam since most people wear it, or?
Yeah. I mean, and
the more footage, the better.
Absolutely. I think that
except in this case,
if you're doing the right thing on a daily basis, that information and what is captured there will speak for itself.
So we're going to talk about your specific case right after this quick ad break. We've got Monate. Monate is a fantastic product that, again, I say each episode. We had Tony Van Schleich. She was on one of our early shows. She is a...
No. No. What the fuck?
That was I didn't even think of what could be the best ad during this dumbass show. That was it. That was the best moment.
Monet knows how to pick them. You know, they picked Kimberly.
Oh my God.
This guy. Wow.
This was the best moment of 2022. Monet, this dumbass
like
podcast.
Worlds collide.
Sponsored by Monet. Please, sir, with a hat on, who's probably bald, tell me how Monet is good for your hair.
Yeah, take the hat off before giving this ad. I'm so sorry.
Monet, what's next? Arbonne? Come on. This is too good. This is too good. Oh my God.
You guys want like mascara and stuff?
Who's your target audience, sir?
Whoa.
Call me. Here's my link to my Monet website. It's called Blunt Force Hair Trauma.
You guys can become part of.
Oh my God. This is so good. It's so good. Okay, wait. I need to hear what he says about Monet. Okay, I was like, at one point, I was like, this video, maybe it's too rough. No, that made it all worth it. Monet.
10 million.
Monet. That's so funny. Monet America again. Okay. I'm sorry.
Ad break. We got Monet. Monet is a fantastic product that, again, I say each episode. We had Tony Van Schoik. She was on one of our early shows. She is a $10 million earner in the world of network marketing, and specifically with this brand. I don't always talk about network marketing companies, but
they're amazing.
I got to meet a little bit more of the team and their culture and what they do and how they actually, the clinical research on the product and the fact that it is that good, the fact that I now use it as my shampoos, it is hair thickening, and on top of it, I've got a whole bag worth of product back there. And they do things a way that is a little bit different, so you're not just getting the chemicals that you would from other brands. So if you want to check this out, please do. Please buy some products from them. Or if you're looking for, a side business, you're a stay-at-home mom, you're somebody looking to make a couple extra bucks, go to bluntforce.mymonate.com. Again, that's bluntforce.mymonate.
That's how I look. That's a cringe look right there. Yeah, let me see that hair again real quick, sir.
Sorry.
If you're a stay-at-home mom watching bluntforcetrauma.com/Monet. If you're a stupid-ass teacher making so much money sitting on your ass, not doing anything, unlike police officers, I got the job for you. It's called Monet.
Oh God, this is unreal. I don't believe this. This is breaking. This is just
ad break.
I can't. I have no words. This is crazy.
Okay, that made
a man with no hair.
Or brain.
Or brain promoting Monet, an MLM about hair, on a blunt force discussion with Brittany Dawn's husband.
Oh God! Speaking about police brutality, we got the product for you, Monet.
If you want hair brutality too.
If you want to brutally rip out your roots, I got the shampoo that does that. It's called Monet.
Wow. I did not see this.
I didn't see it coming. Didn't see this coming. No. Okay, all right, sorry. Back to it. That was good. That was very good.
.com, and you're going to get hooked up, see if you can buy some of this stuff, and make sure you check it out.
And I think he says...
All right. Now,
Anthony.
this is where we get into we're gonna play a video. We're gonna have you kind of talk us through it. I want you to preface it. Casey's in back. He's gonna show it in a second. But before we show this video, where do we want to start? Give the backstory.
Give your excuses now before we show the video.
Do you have any more excuses to give? You already told us your salary, that it was hard, that you hated it. Next.
Your final words before we execute you. Okay, here we go.
Story of the fallout. Kind of sum up the fallout, and we'll go. We'll work backwards on it.
Yeah, so I leave the police department in 2016, like we discussed earlier, on my own accord. Took another job, actually moved out of Kansas City, and I go about my business. I end up, by only the blessing of the good Lord above, find my way to Texas, working in the medical device sales industry. I'm actually in a case with one of my doctors, and I get a missed phone call from a Kansas City number. I'm like, that's interesting. Okay. Well, after I get out of the case, I check my voicemails, and I have a voicemail from a news reporter for the Kansas City Star requesting comment on the recently, as recent as that morning, federal lawsuit that came about in regard to excessive force and a civil rights violation for an arrest. And I'm like, obviously have no clue. This situation happened in 2013. When this comes about, this is 2018, actually conveniently 1 week prior to the statute of limitations. And we can share a little bit of how it was discovered and how this was brought about. But I was like, I of course, did not call him back. I called my connections back at the police department. I'm like, what is going on there? Like, we were just about to call you.
Sure.
So, and the situation was pretty simple. It was, there was a 911 call. The lady was 92, and she is now subsequently passed away. But she called 911 saying, send the police, somebody help me. Somebody is trying to kick in my front door, and this person is saying that they are God. She gave us an exact description of it's a black male. He's wearing a dark coat and blue jeans. Here's my address. And as we get into the details later, you'll see, I believe there's some news reports out there that say that this gentleman was randomly approached on a sidewalk. Yeah. He is, in fact, standing in front of her house in her front yard, or just, on the sidewalk directly in front of the address that this lady called and gave
Conveniently,
us.
Of course.
Definitely not a random stop.
I think he misunderstood the word conveniently in that instance. It's like, okay, I'm on board. Like, I'm fine with the cops coming. If someone calls 911 and showing up, doesn't mean you have to fucking drop kick them to the ground, though. Still, I'm like, all right, nothing's changed for me here yet based on the video. Like, okay.
Right. Somewhere on a sidewalk. And there's context, there's pretense of why we're getting there. So, we're going to talk about, I think you and I have talked about it before, but we're going to talk about, he was high on PCP.
Right.
And
where is the proof of that? How you do a lab test there at that moment, or what? Because you wouldn't know that unless you tested it. So how do you know at the time where you kicked him? Even if he was, yeah, it doesn't mean that you can just violently assault him.
He was peaceful. I don't care. He could be behind. I don't care what he's doing. He's peaceful.
Even if he was a murderer, Kitty. Sorry, hold on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Taro. Oh, hold on. Sorry. It's oh my gosh, Kitty. I can't hear anything. Oh. Okay, she hit the mute button. I'm so sorry. She lays on top of the audio board and then he pushes buttons and mutes me. Sorry. It's worth it. What were you saying? Sorry.
I enjoyed the sounds that Tara was pushing.
like I think everything that he's saying, it's good to clear up like the things. Like I'm all for clearing up the record, and like I wasn't fired for this. You know, I actually left. Okay, I think that's helpful. You know, to understand the context. This is why we were out there. That does help understand the context, but it doesn't for me so far. Nothing that he's said or changed has changed my opinion of like, oh, now I get why he did what he did. Yet.
No.
So it's but like, okay, interesting, but it doesn't really change it for me.
The sad thing is like saying stuff like this, like he was high, will just to some of their audience who are like all about like the non-woke and like whatever, like yeah, he's high, kick him, like you know
he doesn't deserve rights. And if like Brittany Dawn, his wife, said she was God, I'm sure they would be like, wow, like that's a message from above. But this guy says he's God. Oh no, we must like, you know, violently assault him to the ground to stop his, you know, whatever. But Brittany can be like, God told me specifically that I am the leader and ruler of the world and I should be I'm in cancel culture. And he put this on my heart to do whatever. It's like the same exact, to me, like craziness, like, that he's accusing this person of like, oh, he thinks he's God. It's like, so your wife talks to God. So how different is that really?
Yeah, your wife met Jesus on the floor. So.
Brittany's like over there like, no, my God's different than his God. So silly. Okay, let's go.
How did you know that? Did you know that going in?
So it was actually we had an idea. So it was dispatched as a party being high on PCP.
Well, when you say you're God, typically that's a telltale sign.
So that's a precursor to
unless you're a white woman influencer, then it's the truth.
Then it's just 8 million views on TikTok.
Yeah, then it's fine. But it's a whole business. And I want to push this point about the drug thing. Like, oh, we had an idea. No, that's unfair. That you can't say, oh, we think this person's on drugs and then, you know, like use that as an excuse. It's like, until you're testing something, until you have proof. Like, remember, I don't know if you heard about this. This is like something that happened in Florida, but it was a guy on a bridge that like bit this other guy's face off. It was called like the zombie attack. It was like this big thing. It became a meme. It was like back in like 2012 maybe. And everyone was like, oh, he's on bath salts. He's on bath salts. He's on bath salts. It was like the repeated thing. Then they did the testing, the toxicology report on the guy, and he wasn't. So the whole thing, they were like going to make a task force about, you know, getting drugs off the streets. Meanwhile, it turns out the guy wasn't even on that drug. So it's like, I hate that when people like jump to the conclusion of like, oh, it's a drug problem. It could be a mental health problem. It could be a bunch of things. And just to say it's drugs, it's not even the true narrative. So that's just so nitpick that I'm like, it's not fair to always say it's drugs probably. We need to act like this guy's on drugs. Because a lot of times it's not drugs.
And also in that case, that person was violent. So there was like a break of peace.
Yeah.
While in this case, there was no breaking of the peace. Like the guy was peaceful, walking on the street.
Banged on a door, and now they're there to see what's the deal. But like, you can't just take the caller's information as God's word and not take the defendant's word at all. It's unfair. Like, what if the lady was trying to set him up because she's an angry, you know, relative? Like, you don't know. You can't just take whatever people say and go, oh, that's it. Like, that's what's happening here. I'm just gonna like beat the shit out of him now. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. And just like imagine just the chaos that would be if they approached everyone like that. If they just approached everyone in every situation with violence and just like that is it's such an obvious discrimination, and like also it's so counterproductive to like operations. Like that's not how you negotiate. If there was someone who was violent or whatever, like yes, by any means, you've got to stop the violence. That's the point of like using force.
Sure.
You're not just using force to what? Bring someone back from being drunk. Like
there's no need.
It's the force is not going to work on someone who's like high or whatever to bring them back to being sober. Like that's
no.
So you're just using the force to stop it from who knows, escalating and if somebody is like violent or whatever, escalating into being violent to more people or like making it the situation worse. But you don't just use force on peaceful people for no reason. Like they present no danger. They're like, why are you throwing yourself at like someone who's like unarmed, like completely?
Like if he was in his pockets or something, I could go, okay, well, you know, like you don't know what's in there, so you know the force was not ideal, but I can understand it. The guy had his hands like this, like I don't know, like I don't find this specific case to be anything confusing. I'm waiting for the explanation. It's been 24 minutes already. I have not heard it. Like.
Yeah.
What was your excuse?
The explanation is my salary was bad and poor me. So, it's not my fault.
Yeah, that's what I've heard so far too. So unimpressed.
Hallucinations and out-of-body experiences that come with PCP. And to level set, and I am not a scientist. This is all based off of things.
Do you know what
learned.
A woman is?
I do.
Okay. All right, just checking. I want to make sure.
No,
I mean, that puts you one step ahead of SCOTUS.
Yeah, but, I saw the law.
He's trying so hard to be like edgy, and it's like just like falling flat. Mr. Monate dealer.
Do you know what a woman is?
Well, he's trying to make a thing like, oh, people think gender's fluid these days. That's so stupid.
Yeah,
the whole agenda.
Guy's like, I know you're here to like defend yourself, but I
get my
ideas.
Yeah.
So why don't we just, put him in like a completely unrelated conversation? Just like,
he's trying
drop
so
a
hard.
little anti-woke thing.
So hard.
Professor get absolutely destroyed by Josh Hawley, who also from Kansas City.
Yeah, he had.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen. I think the last group that was here was talking about. Did you hear about the Josh Hawley takedown? I'll have to check it out.
The
later.
people who listen to this, which have to be in the tens of thousands, should be. If you do not know about Josh Hawley, that dude should be president.
I like Josh.
I'm a Josh
Hawley.
That guy's a stud.
Yeah.
We go.
This guy loves other guys. I'll just say again, that guy's a stud. Okay.
Why are they talking about? Yeah.
So this.
Sorry.
Why are they talking about this?
Get to the fucking point, bro. Like,
no, I'm so lost here. Like, I don't remember what the conversation was and what it.
He's defending the video that hasn't been shown yet, and this is what he's saying. Like, he was on PCP, which. You wouldn't have known that at that point. And how would the person know on the phone if she doesn't know who this guy is? Like, a lot of things aren't adding up for me. And even if you did suspect he's on PCP, again, you have no proof at that time. So I don't think that your action should be, changed in a dramatic way.
Yeah.
So I don't know who that Josh Hawley guy is, but we can look him up later.
Comes in and huge credit. Unsung heroes in law enforcement, dispatchers. Amazing, dude.
I agree.
They become really protective of their officers. I mean, imagine there's movies out there that have kind of gone into the psyche around that, right. and so even some of like the PTSD that they experience hearing situations not only on 911 calls but on radio traffic, like police officers' radios, and they're in a room. And can't do anything.
They can't do anything. Yeah,
I can't imagine.
Helpless.
I can't imagine.
That's an interesting. I never really thought about it like that.
I can't.
Here's my thing about dispatch. I totally agree. They're the unsung heroes of this whole thing. They are treated like absolute shit. They get no breaks. They get like a 15-minute break for like a 10-hour shift. They're overworked. They're underpaid, and they have no mental health care. Let's fix the situation. But I'm sure that's not their perspective. It's like, that mental health's not real. Like, so fuck that. And they should probably make less than a cop who's getting shot at. It's like, I can agree with some parts of what they're saying. Like, yeah, they're unsung heroes, but like, where's the action? Like, let's change the system so they can be better paid. But that never pops up. It's just like, let's be angry about gender. It's annoying.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I can't imagine.
Sorry, I just don't know a lot about.
No, it's okay.
I just don't know what the dispatch thing is. Like, I'm kind of in the dark about it.
It's like when you call 911 and you're like, hi, I'm dying, I've been shot. And the person that's on the phone is like, okay, where are you? What's your address? Like, what's going on? What's your name? And they while they're talking to you, they're putting in the computer like to a cop, like go to this address. It's a fire. It's a thing, whatever. And they sit in a room and they dispatch the officers, and like they hear all of it, like people crying, screaming, people who are incoherent. And like I went to this thing where it's like you go and meet. It's like a civilian police academy thing. I think I talked about it before. And one of the people who came in to speak was a dispatch. And she was like, people kill themselves that are in like dispatch positions because it's such a stressful job. And they're making like, $30,000 or something. And it's like, she's like, we need therapy. We need therapy. And I felt so badly for her. I was like, oh my God, like, yeah. Can you imagine being traumatized every day for 10 hours a day? Like people calling about the worst shit in the world. Like, kids drowning and people getting shot at and stabbed. It's like, but there's no help for them. It sucks. I don't know what to do about it either, but I think, that is a good point that they get like forgotten about in this conversation.
Yeah, he did mention PTSD, but I don't know where they're going with this.
Yeah. Sorry. And I was like, hi, 911. It's me. My hair's falling out. I use Monat. Just curious. Am I dying?
Yes, world.
Shut up. Anyways.
They're awesome. So the dispatcher actually identifies based off of the actions that the man, he's trying to kick in this lady's door. So it's not just a first degree residential burglary in progress. It's based off of his comments saying, "Let me in, I'm God."
Yeah.
And based off of what we had experienced in the weeks to days previous to that, PCP usually travels in batches. They'll bring it to a city, or it's quote unquote brewed. It's concocted in large amounts, and that will be disseminated and sold throughout the city. So we had already been in kind of a streak of, and you'll see them. Typically, I'll never forget, it's the dead of winter. It's Kansas City. It's cold. It's like 10 degrees. My partner and I are driving down the road, and underneath a highway overpass, at the very last minute, I slam on my brakes because there is just a naked man standing. I mean, you've seen the old, like, football films of like guys with their helmets off, and it's just steaming, right? Because it's so cold and their body temperature is so high, right? That's an entire body just butt naked in the middle of the road in the middle of the night, and you're like, what in the world? So and there's a little bit to
probably matches up with your guys' first date too, which is super weird.
Yeah, weird. Side caveat, I can't give you too much of a hard time. I had a mustache on our first date. Why? Because I messed up shaving my beard or trimming my beard.
Well, you didn't go full. You didn't. You know what? I'm going to go full Monty. I'm not going to lie. I'm a bold guy. I don't know if I would show up on a first date with a mustache.
Yeah, it's a story for another day. But I showed up on and hey, it worked out. I'm married. I'm married to the
mustache.
Also.
So PCP. Anyways, I have a mustache. I don't know.
I had a mustache on a first date. Like, when did we finish the other stories?
Yeah, I thought we were here to defend ourselves, not to discuss our mustaches.
What is this? Is this just telling him his like dating profile? Like, what is this?
My Bumble.
Just by the way, one time I went on a date with a mustache. So on our date with a mustache, just
I can't be held responsible.
Worried. It's a good sign.
The thing though, again, with the PCP, like, so you're discriminating people that may have nothing to do with PCP just because earlier in the week there was other cases of people on PCP. So I find that to be discriminatory. It's almost like you going into any situation and going, all men do this, all black people do this, all whatever, all people who are walking down the street are on PCP. Like, you can't just approach people like that and with that in mind. You have to go into every situation with like, okay, blank slate. This is in a different part of town. This is a different person. I hate that. Like, oh, well, I'm justified to say, like, oh, bye, Cam. I'm justified to say, like, well, there was PCP in the area, so, like, I just assumed everyone I came in contact with was on PCP. It's like, you got to wait till that's tested, I don't know.
So
I'm not
top
convinced
thing too, but just maybe not as much as firefighters. Okay, so can we show the clip?
Yeah.
Casey,
yeah, we can start off.
Let's go ahead and have Joe and Casey bring up this clip. So I'm gonna, since there's a podcast and people are seeing, so on December 6th, 2013, people can read. So go ahead and explain.
You want to stop right there for a second? So
pause it for me, Case.
So we, like I said, this is literally in the front yard. That's her vehicle. He is still on technically the scene. And what do we know so far when we show up? Well, we know that he's supposed to be wearing a dark jacket and blue jeans.
Matches description.
We know that he's supposed to be an African-American male. And it's literally at the address. So I'm like, hey, we've got our guy here. Okay. What do we know prior to this?
Is this really 5:56 p.m.? So it's winter. So it's
winter. So
dark early.
It's gotten dark early. Yeah, absolutely. So we know, and this goes back into this is dispatched as a party high on PCP. So per our department policy.
How? I thought it was kicking in the door. How did the person know high on PCP? This is an addition that he did not say in the beginning. So, all right, okay.
There are supposed to be 4 officers and a sergeant sent, and that may have changed. On December 6th, 2013, it was 4 officers and a sergeant. So our sergeant, the sergeant that answered up for the radio call, it takes him a little bit to get there, and that's you'll see there's some conversation at the end. But so we have enough to go in and answer this call and go on scene. The legs that you see there, where the headlights of the police car are coming through, that's me, and I'm approaching.
Okay, so he's here, I guess is what he's saying. So we just got to the beginning of the video, so he's trying to change the narrative, which, okay, fine, I will give them that. Like, if there is more information, I'm willing to accept that and go, okay, so this is what their mindset was, as opposed to just a random suspicious person. They had a call that the woman thinks that this guy's on PCP and trying to break in. Okay, fine, I'll give in to that. Like, that does, make it make more sense, but it's not justified still, in my opinion, at this point.
No.
So now he's explaining.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, the rest of it.
I've already made verbal. There is no verbal, or there's no audio to this. I've already said, turn around, face away from me, and get on your knees.
Got it. Are you the closest police officer? Or are you the one further behind?
No, I'm the closest one where you see the light really shining through the legs. That's me as I approach. I've already addressed him. I've said, hey, get on the ground, turn away from me, get on the ground, and show me your hands. So he shows me his hands, but he turns. He spins to me, and I've actually already I have my weapon out because when we first pull up, which it cuts, the video starts. It's edited to where you don't see. Of
course it is.
It's edited.
Edited how?
It's edited. Why didn't the police release the unedited version if you were so like?
We watched the unedited versions online, so why are they pulling out this version of it? Is their own fucking fault, because we watched the full version where the car is coming up to the situation.
Well, he wants to use the excuse that this is edited.
Yeah. Okay. Stupid. All right.
My gun out because I can't see his hands.
Right, and I can't see him right now, which in this day and age, we know how fast that can escalate.
So he actually has them. The reason he can't, they're in line with his body. He has his hands out. He does have his hands. Okay. So and it's tough to see because of the lighting. But we did, obviously, within the lawsuit, we did a huge debrief of this, and so there's a point where you freeze frame it and you zoom in real good. You can actually see me holster my weapon once he has his hands out.
Okay.
So he turns, he spins towards me, which is not what I asked him to do. So we have a little bit of he's not following what would be considered
instructions.
Not and reasonable. Mm-hmm. That's a reasonable request.
Yeah.
For a police officer to make is to say, turn around and get on your knees, face away from me, because we want to have the odds in our advantage as we approach. But Casey, you can go ahead and move forward. It's a super short video, so we're approaching. Everybody's coming up. I've talked to him, and pause it real quick, Casey. There was a moment there where he's audibly visually wavering, and he's like. He can't barely stand up. Another sign of being high on PCP. Mm-hmm. On the audio, or not on the audio. The audio, there is no audio. On the
It's a guy who's got a gun pointed at him. What do you want him to do?
As I'm approaching, I can also hear there is a super, like, very, very recognizable sound for police officers. They will make this clicking sound with their tongue. It dries out their mouth, and they'll click their tongue super loud. And you can hear, we hear it as we're walking in the street. So, that.
Again, what do you think this guy's going to do? Like, give you a drug? Like, what is this relevance of any of this?
I think I can guess where he's going with this. I think what he wants to say is that he fell. He didn't kick, or like maybe he did kick him, but he fell because he was high.
Okay.
I think this is, and that's so insidious because you can see him kick him.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Okay.
Let's see if that's where he's going. But I think that's why he's
building us up so
presenting
much.
it like this. Like, look at him wavering. Like, wavering is like a first, like you waver and then you fall. I guess that's what he means, or he wants to imply at least.
Imply. Yeah. Okay.
Law enforcement is you have building blocks.
Yeah. As
you go through this, and you're like, okay, is it reasonable at this moment to think that he's high on PCP? And also, I'm allowed to bring in a huge portion of my experience and my training to this. Yeah. Well, by this time, 4 or 5, getting close to 5 years on, I've experienced hundreds of fights with people high on PCP. And a lot of people think that PCP makes you super strong. It doesn't. PCP detaches some nerve receptors in the brain, mu receptors. Like I said, I'm not a scientist. Right. This is kind of low level stuff here. Detaches mu receptors in the brain that the brain tells the body I'm getting tired. Okay. So they'll fight, they'll run till the day is long, brother. They will go forever, and they're super dangerous because a lot of times they don't feel pain as well. So.
So he didn't feel pain, so I could just beat the shit out of him. Okay.
So wait, he's making a very contradictory point. He's saying like they're very tired on PCP, but they will run. What?
And he wasn't running, and the angle's bad because it's a dash cam, not a body cam. But okay, the time was 2013. It looks like he's got his arms out, not in his pockets, digging for a weapon or whatever. So again, I don't know the relevance of this. He's trying. You know when you lie or like you're telling a point that has nothing to do with anything, you just like waste people's time by like giving all the details. Like, yeah, the street was like a little bit gray, and then the leaves had already fallen already, so it was a little crisp in the air. It's like, who gives a shit? Get to the point. Like, we don't need to know all the details and like, oh, my expertise in PCP. It's like none of this is important at all.
Yeah, he's absolutely lying right now because he's saying the opposite. Like within like a second, he's like, on PCP they get tired, but then they will run until the cows come home. It's like, well, how can they run until the cows come home when they're tired? If the drug makes them tired, they will not run. That's it's the opposite. It's the opposite effect. You don't run when you're tired. You run when you have energy.
And is that a crime to be running if like you take PCP?
Well,
and just run?
I guess he's maybe trying to say that they were afraid he was gonna run away from them, but how if he's so tired on PCP and he's like wavering?
And can't they just put handcuffs on him, which is what they were doing in the first place? I don't understand the point of kicking him to the ground.
I think we're close to getting him to say it, but I think that. I'm going to guess that's where he's going with this. Like, oh, it wasn't our fault. He fell on his face because of the drug, because it makes you tired. But if he was running until the cows came home, then he wouldn't have fallen on his face then? Like, I think this is, I'm guessing.
Did it to himself. Okay.
Contrary to woke beliefs, as a police officer, you are allowed to use pain compliance.
We need to record that. Contrary to woke beliefs. I'll send it to you because it's I think my turn to do the highlights, so I'll just like cut it in.
Okay, thank you. That's a good one.
Does not comply with your lawful orders or reasonable requests, and so they can't feel it. And 90+% of my experiences up until this point has been a fight to the death, where there's a reason we send 4 officers and a sergeant, because it's not enough for 2 to go and handle these calls.
Right.
These guys are.
Think about now when you're not allowed to put a knee anywhere on the person. You're not allowed to do, and I don't know.
You did not. You did not.
Yeah, that's a real shame of what came out of that case, was that cops can't put a knee on the necks of people and they kill them. That's a real shame in this country, in this day and age. What a fucking idiot.
Yeah, contrary to woke beliefs.
Contrary to woke beliefs, people deserve not to be killed on the side of the street.
Yeah.
Point blank, go put them in court. Let the justice system do what it does. Why are we having like police officers making these life and death choices? It's bad. That's bad.
This conversation is making me like sick.
This is the most controversial Monate seller I've ever come in contact with.
Yeah.
That's
I
horrible.
can't believe they just went to George Floyd. Like
this guy's trying to be Andrew Tate or something. Like he's trying to be like he doesn't. I don't even think believe what he's saying. I think he just wants to like be controversial so he gets attention because he's a loser.
Yeah.
Honestly, sorry. And he's balding, and he's sad about it.
You're a bold, ugly loser.
Yeah.
Blunt force discussion.
He's a blunt force loser. Sorry. We love having open discussions about you being a douchebag idiot.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's very in poor taste. Like that's not a hot take that you want to be having as a human being.
Do not contact us if you want to talk to us.
Yeah, fuck off.
Fuck off all the way back to Missouri.
Yeah.
Or wherever
you
is,
came
Kansas.
from. Mm-hmm.
Where is he?
I don't know if they're in Missouri or where they're at. I don't know. This video came from Missouri, but I don't know where they're at today.
How you feel about chokeholds, but there's a lot of stuff that you have to do to subdue the person before you either have to shoot or whatever. And if you're not allowed to do those things, it leaves you with one option.
What the fuck do you know? Are you a cop? No. Are you a firefighter? No. You're a fucking podcast host with no life. Come on. Give me a break.
He's such a great thinker. Like, look at him just like, the points he's connecting here. Like, the way that his brain is firing and wiring in this case. Like, it's just amazing.
He's supportive of an industry where 99% of people lose money being in it. This man does not have a clear thought pattern in someone I would trust, at the very least. And you're going to tell me about what options there are for police officers to take criminals down? What do you even know about it? You don't know shit.
Poor police officers left with no options of killing people. Oh my God.
Yeah, okay. Don't you have tasers? Don't you have other things? Yeah.
What a sad job.
This
you
guy
can't even kill them anymore.
What's the fun in that? We only get 51,000. We got to have some killings to make it interesting, to make it worth it for us. Shut up.
Thank you, King Intern, for the super chat.
Thank you, King Intern. This guy is a
douche lord.
Yeah,
this guy's a douche lord.
But also,
he sucks. I have no regrets about saying any of that.
I don't regret anything.
Back to this woke idiot. Unwoke. He's a sleeping idiot. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's, let's start with this. You're probably referring to George Floyd.
Sure.
And you're referring to Chauvin, right?
Chauvin, Floyd, and I mean the chokeholds, I think Freddie Gray, I believe,
so
whatever it was.
Interesting fact. Yeah. The widely taught it's people call it a chokehold. It is technically called the lateral vascular neck restraint.
Right.
And it was invented by the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department.
Interesting.
By Sergeant Jim Lindell.
Jesus.
Why is this an interesting point?
I'm interested, but not for the reasons I think they're interested.
Yeah. What? Okay,
Yikes.
let's play. I feel like he's about to
expose
go
himself
down.
Used widely and super successful with I believe, and I can't, like I said, I can't speak to in the time I've been gone, but there were no deaths resulted from the lateral vascular neck restraint.
It's a freak accident. I mean, I think it's Freddie Gray that I'm thinking of. He's like 400 and something pounds. Like there was other reasons. It's just
Now there's.
Oh yeah, his obesity caught up with him in the moment of being fucking choked to death by a cop. Oh my God.
He was not obese. He was not.
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that's what he's saying. Like, oh, if only women were more shamed and they didn't have oversized mannequins at Old Navy, then we'd have no problems. It's like you're connecting things that have no fucking like connection whatsoever. Like, oh, it's all because we don't work out enough. It's like, what are you talking about?
No, this is the worst take that I've ever heard.
Yeah,
honestly.
I agree. Well,
Like,
you got to look
I've
at who's
heard
talking. An idiot and a guy who's defending himself because whatever, he kicked someone for no reason.
I feel like I've heard a lot of like bad takes on George Floyd, but nothing like this.
Yeah.
Like it was a freak accident. How was that a freaking accident?
No, we watched the full video. It looked very clear. And justice, which they are there preserving, right? The country's justice system, a jury, or was it a jury? Yeah, Chauvin had a jury, or did the judge do it? I forget. But he was found guilty in a court of law, regardless of who decided it. And that is what the law enforcement officers are there to ensure happens. So despite all of these, like, my beliefs and whatever, like, justice was served. It was found to be, he was liable and murdered him. It wasn't a freak accident. So you're disagreeing with the whole premise of America. And I'm sure they're like, we're patriots, you know, whatever.
Oh, of course.
You're disagreeing with the whole premise of what America's built on. So who's the real patriot here, you dumb idiot? Sorry, I know.
Yeah, well, now obviously they're not on the side of the police because this guy like willingly quit. So now they're trashing the police. Now they're like everything. They're like simultaneously trashing the police and being super sympathetic to like very bad police brutality. Like I don't understand exactly. Their stance is so confusing and so bad.
Contradictory. Yeah, agreed. Okay, let's continue.
Chauvin thing, brother.
Yeah.
Not cool.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
No, he definitely, that was wrong because it was too long. It wasn't listening, wasn't paying attention at the same time. I mean, toxicology results also.
And there's
issues.
There's also.
What?
There are such thing as bad cops. And you know what?
I think at least he was saying that was not cool on Chauvin's part. And the fucking host is like, yeah, he wasn't listening, talking about George Floyd. He wasn't listening. And the toxicology reports showed that there was, PCP? You know, like, what are we talking about again? So he deserved to die? That's fine? It's like, oh my God, I can't. Okay, sorry.
I'm actually surprised that Jordan here is not siding with him. Because I thought he was going there. I thought he was really going there, but it's mostly like the host that is going there. So
he wants the headline.
I mean, he gets like a one of the legs of the star. I don't know.
Yeah, he gets half a star, the lowest bar star.
Yeah.
Low bar star. There you go. Jordan, good job.
What? Good cops hate bad cops.
Absolutely. And I think that's shifted.
You know, and I've been painted into a corner as a bad cop.
Yeah.
Based off of one
video that
story.
gets out. Yeah. Let's go and see that. Let's go to the next.
So I come up and what I do is called a arm drag into a leg sweep. And he, instead of fighting or tensing up or doing anything, he goes limp and he face plants. If you'll notice, will you freeze for a second, Casey? If you'll notice, so this is actually a super specific and taught tactic or technique.
Oh my God.
One officer, the officer closest to the camera, wearing the coat.
So he's trying to make it like, oh, this is, and you know, he might be right. That might be a technique that is taught at police academy, but it doesn't mean it's right. And it doesn't mean that it's justified, and it doesn't mean anything. And the guy, now all of a sudden, I think you're right. Like he said, like, oh, he's so limp now. So now the drugs are not only causing you to become a psychopath and crazy and dangerous, it also causes you to be too calm and go limp when you're hit by, he should have fought back. And that would have been the correct way for him not to get hurt.
Yeah, because that's exactly what people do. They fight against officers, which is like a thing that puts you in jail in no time. Mm-hmm. Who in their right mind would fight when a police officer like puts you to the ground? Like, you don't fight.
And it's just, you're vulnerable. You're so vulnerable, and you're in the position like, okay, I'm not resisting, and then all of a sudden you get fucking face planted into the cement. Like,
But it's not even like legal. He's saying that most people would have fought. It's like, but that's not legal. Most people would have not fought.
Yeah, resisting arrest.
Because
you want another charge?
Yeah, you don't
that's illegal.
resist the police. Exactly. You don't hit the police officer that's like trying to. You don't. So he's lying on that too.
Yeah.
He's saying most people would have resisted. Like what?
Most
How
people
would they
would.
resist? Like there's 5 police officers surrounding you.
Yeah, you're asking him to. Yeah, exactly. I don't know what the better solution would have been.
No, nobody would resist that. Like unless it's someone who's like, being aggressive or something. But that's a different. Like most people. So I don't even know if this guy was like, "Hi, this seems like a person who is like, I'm surrounded by 5 officers."
Yeah, he could be having a mental health crisis, and now he's got his face busted open. Like I don't find this to be a success story in any way.
Yeah, and also just look at them ganging up on like this person's done nothing.
Yeah, I know. It's like, does it really take 5 trained professionals with guns to like tackle a man who hasn't moved at all? It just seems overkill, literally.
Their technique is to go there and like I don't know what they're doing, punching him. What are they doing there?
I don't know.
Holding him down by one leg each. Like what are they doing?
I know. Do they mean that? I don't know.
On the upper portion of his body, pins his arm. The officer to the right, towards his legs, pins his legs. I go into a high-risk handcuffing technique. He is in handcuffs in 11 seconds. This is not a Rodney King. There's no punches thrown. Mm-hmm. There's no.
No one said it was. The issue is you slammed his face into the ground. He's now probably unconscious.
No excessive force here. He's pinned per department policy and technique.
I think the biggest issue was the kick and the push to the ground that Taro's here, but she's sleeping.
That's taught. And what's crazy is from 2013, this video was used as a training tool in our academy to show what taking parties high on PCP into custody looks like.
Yeah. Should we keep going?
This is a desperate attempt.
Yep.
Really.
5 officers.
Yeah.
Then I love it. 5 officers then rush.
Per department policy.
Yeah. So and I think this is much safer than one wrestling and getting to the point where you have to shoot the person.
So what we had.
This guy's an idiot. I'm sorry. This guy's not helping his case.
He's like, you should have shot him. Like,
you have 2 options in life. Tackle him with blunt force for 5 people or shoot him. That's the only options in life. Oh, God. The Monet's getting to his brain, I'm telling you. Seeping in.
5.
I feel like we should do more reactions to this guy because like I feel like there's like a gold mine on his channel.
I'm down. I think it's gonna be great. This guy's stupid. Anthony.
We had two-man crews and myself. I was riding by myself. So we had 5 officers show up. We were all in the area, of course. And we know, based off of our previous experience and our training, that these situations can become very, very violent.
He's not moved
So
once.
we're bringing some people to the game.
Go ahead, go rewind that statement because again, this video was. You don't have to go back that far. It was, go ahead and just play it from this point. But this is so manipulative. It was done by ACLU. Put this video out. There's like 54,000 views. You don't even want to look at the comments. They might have even been shut off. But it's so inflammatory. One officer kept his knee in Bill's back, essentially for the 12 seconds to handcuff him. And then they're going to talk about how afterwards he was showing, Officer Nelson even reenacted the takedown. He was
as I mentioned, you want to pause it there, Casey. As I mentioned, per policy, 4 officers and a sergeant, right?
Per policy.
What we have here is, even though I used the lowest level of force allowed, the lowest level is just verbal. Verbal instruction. I used one level above that, which is open hand.
which is
full on assault. Him to the ground. Yeah.
So, okay, but here's another perspective on this too. Like he's basically he's blaming it all to save himself, on the police policy. Now, I would say, okay, maybe the police policy is too much. Maybe the way they're teaching people is wrong. How about we go and re-examine how officers are trained in this country? Oh, no, we just need to accept anything that cops do. That's the solution, not to go and re-examine, like, okay, let's look at all the training procedures, how we can make it less violent so that people are not afraid of the police all the time. No, that's not anything.
And defensive tactics. Yeah. I used the department-approved defensive tactic here, where, but the problem is it resulted in injury. So, which, the sergeant, there's a use of force document that's filled out that describes everything. It's like a secondary police report that describes everything that went into this. So, per my policy, a sergeant has to, when a use of force is made, a sergeant has to respond to that scene, and they want to know what's going on. It's like, I'm required to tell him and show him, what did you do? Well, here's what I did, and here's why I did it.
And they're making it out to be that you are bragging about your takedown of the guy, and I'm talking about as.
It's not what it said. It didn't say, then Nelson bragged about his takedown. It says he reenacted it. So that's what the words said. You're taking out of context, putting more emphasis on something that they didn't even say.
He lays on the ground. He's arrested with his hand. It's the rhetoric that's the issue.
And there's an ambulance on the way. Yeah. He gets medical attention. The other officers are tending to, and checking. They're searching him. To which, newsflash and shocker here, in possession of PCP, had it in a bottle. On his person.
Yeah. Let him go to jail for that. Let him go to court. Let him see the judge for that. Like, okay, but that also doesn't mean he took it. So I will say I will say, I think it's hurtful to the ACLU to not include that information in the website. I think people are more understanding. Like, I don't care if he has PCP on him at all, but not adding it, I think it makes it look like they're trying to hide that this, person was completely not doing anything. So I don't like that, but I think it would be important to add. I don't think it changes anything else, but I wish that I knew that information and that they were just more transparent with the whole situation.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, fair enough. If they didn't put this on the thing, sure, okay, that's not necessarily
just so we get the whole picture. That's all.
Justified.
No, I don't think it changes anything,
but I think that regardless of whether or not he possessed drugs, if it's illegal to possess drugs, or if it's illegal to be on drugs, then I think the requirement, I guess, for law enforcement is to put them in jail.
Yeah,
it's not
get
to
them to a
kill
judge.
them. It's not to kick them to the ground and break their face.
No.
That none of that is in the legal, especially if it's true and what he's saying, that this PCP drug makes you limp and you're just not even
coherent.
You're not even. Yeah, and you can't even react properly. If that is true, then all the more reason to just take it easy on the guy. He's not gonna do anything. He's on PCP. If that was he's already, if that was true and he already had the knowledge and he was yeah, we've seen people on PCP before and they've done this and they were limp and whatever. Then take it easy on him. What are you doing?
Yeah, they didn't even try to put handcuffs on him before they pushed him to the ground and caused him violent harm. And he got looked at by the ambulance. Okay, how much does that cost? I don't know if that that cost gets pushed onto you and now you have a $5,000 emergency room bill. I can't even imagine. So now this officer busts my face open. I have to go pay for it because there's no health care in America for free. There's lots of things that have gone wrong in this situation. Yeah. I don't give a fuck if he's on drugs. I don't care. So I don't know.
Not to mention, the whole thing with drugs is such it makes me angry. There's people still in prison for possession of weed.
Now you can buy it at the corner store or at the dispensary. Yeah, I just think that we need to, as a society, if we're now like more forward about drugs and like it's an addiction and like that's what it is and we're in agreement on that, let's not hide it at all, because it makes it look like we're against, like we are ashamed of it. And it's like, just let's like be honest about it. I think people would still see through it. Like this is still unacceptable behavior.
Yeah.
Personally.
Made a lot of he admitted to a lot of things. So he went to the emergency room.
Go ahead and play the rest out because you're going to see his face real quick.
Yeah, he had a busted lip and I believe a chipped tooth.
There we go.
That's
so
expensive.
We'll let this play out. It's only about 20 seconds.
It's like, oh, it's not a big
you
deal.
Being just the
that would
asshole
fucking traumatize my life.
Yeah. And why we sued, and we'll get into that in a second. This use of force should be the last option. I'm sorry.
He looks great.
It very rarely happens on the show. 4-year-old lady, and all of a sudden we care about a guy that just has a simple busted lip out of it. To me, this is, if you want to know why we have a growing amount of crime in this country, it's because we, for some odd reason, are taking the side of a guy with a bloody lip that was high on drugs, trying to accost or break into a 92-year-old woman's house, and because of maybe his skin color, the ACLU and people and social media, people of the world think that police officers are bad. This is one of the biggest problems facing our society.
I don't understand
that's
where the skin color comes in here.
He's such a
he's
such a woke
fault?
guy.
Is it
Look at him being woke. Look at him being like in defense of society here. Like
all he had was a busted face. What did this guy have? A $51,000 job?
Yeah.
That's enough for him to complain.
Let me see him in a situation like that. He would go so far with his like accusations. Like people, or I don't know if him, but people like him, like they always just they're totally okay with that happening to other people, and especially to people that they dislike or that they want to marginalize. Mm-hmm. And when it happens to one of them, they're like suddenly like, whoa, what's this? Like, it's just,
if someone beat up a cop that was on the force, like someone who is under investigation, and they beat the shit out of a cop and he had a busted lip, they would be like, oh my God, look at the brutality. Look at this. This is not acceptable. This is a civil servant of our country. And I could agree with that. But when it becomes like another human being on the other side of the badge, it's like, oh, who gives a shit? He's a drug addict. It's like, do we not respect all human life in this country? This guy would say, no, we don't respect it equally. A cop is more important than a drug addict. Okay, and whether he's a drug addict or not, I don't know. It's really inconsequential too. Like, okay, he's on drugs, he had drugs, whatever. I don't care. It's just like, so he's a human being. At the end of the day, you would not have any sympathy for a human being who did not look like he was resisting arrest, getting busted to the floor and chipping his tooth? What kind of person are you?
Yeah, exactly. And that's probably a lot of people, unfortunately.
Like, just admit that you think you're supreme. Like, whether it's race or your job or the money in the bank, like if you think you have supremacy over other people, just come out with that. But then stop the bullshit of like, just be kind, just don't do bad things, don't commit crimes. It's like, whatever. We can go into so much about why someone gets on drugs in the first place or has access to it or needs it. Yeah. There's so much you could talk about.
Anyway, this department's fault? Is it my fault as the responding officer that I'm white and he's black?
No.
My longest tenured partner on the police department is a black guy. He was in my wedding. Like,
oh my God.
All my friends are black.
I'm not racist because I met a black person once.
And I'm not even bringing race into it. Like, really, I don't think if it was a white guy, if it was a woman, if it was anybody, that they should be treated like that. Period.
There is no way that guy was busted on the ground like that because if he was white. There is no way that would have happened if that was a white woman. I've never seen it. I've never seen it.
I don't know if I would go that far. I would say, it's more of a class thing. Like if someone is, looking like they're lower class, white or black in this country, then they don't give a shit about you. That's how I see it. I think more people end up having interactions with cops that are black, and that's what leads to it. But I don't think, if they think like this guy's poor, they'll fuck him up, I think.
I feel like it's disproportionately against like people of color.
Yeah. Well, I think, disproportionately people of color are in the lower class, and that's where it starts
that's true, yeah.
It starts to overlap a little bit. But,
I saw this TikTok that was so telling. It was a black British guy who was like waiting at the stoplight or something. Waiting to cross the street at the red stop. And there was a policeman, and the policeman, like, I don't know, they met, and then they exchanged a few words. The policeman, like, asked him a couple of things, and he started talking. So the policeman heard his accent, and he said, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were black."
Okay.
He is
black, but he's British.
Yeah. And I was like, this is so bad. Like, because obviously, like, it's what you're saying. They think of it as a category almost.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think of black people the same way almost.
No. Yeah, and if there's a police force, black guy in the police force, it's a different kind of black. It's a different like level of black, as I think they say. Like, not a real black person or something. And it's like, wait, what? I think there's a lot of that. Like, oh no, you're poor black. That's who we're against. We're against drug thugs. That's what we're talking about. It's like, okay, but it's very hard to tell when you have no information and you're going to, a call about a person busting into a house. Like, you're making a lot of assumptions, a lot of biases, and then pursuing that however you think is best. It's just, I don't know.
And I feel like that goes against what the law enforcement is, because law enforcement should be, and we could go on a whole other tangent about what it is that it isn't what it should be, but what it should be is like taking everything on a case by case scenario, and not just like painting everything with a brush, not making assumptions, not like taking like the disproportionately like discriminate against entire communities just because they are like some people in that community did some things, because like white people also did things, so then like it's not like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like it should always be taken one by one. Like,
and that's what I'm trying to do in this case too.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely 100% believe that there's racial profiling in this country, 100%. But in this specific instance, like how he's describing it, and I'm taking his word for it. Oh no, there's the Dave bots. Jesus.
The Beetlejuice is here.
The Beetlejuice is here. That, in this case, if we swapped out the victim with a white man of the same economic stature, I don't think he would go, I'm not gonna drop kick his ass to the ground. I just think that he would. Now, that's my interpretation. If it was a woman, maybe you could say maybe they would feel like, oh, we can overpower her without having to drop her down to the ground. But I don't know. I just find it, if there was a white guy, but he was like doing exactly the same thing as this guy did, I think he would also be treated with the violent, altercation as well, personally. Are you frozen?
Accused of racism all the time. And my favorite part of what Aaron would respond with, he's no longer with the police department. He's actually now a United States Marshal. He people would be like, man, you arrested me because I'm black. No, I'm not. I'm arresting you because you broke the law. And Aaron would, like, wherever he was in this scenario, he would like kind of, remember the Step Brothers where they're in the job interview and he peers around he would peer around and be like, we are arresting you.
Yeah.
And he's a black guy. And so where in this does race come into
play? It's a criminal,
play?
and that's why it's so important to talk about. We live in such a weird world where the criminals have been allowed to kind of run free. And I want to just take a couple more minutes on this.
What? Yeah, criminals just run free. And also, you're not a criminal until you've been convicted in a court of law, once again. So you're a suspected criminal at the stage where you're interacting during an arrest. So get your facts straight, dumbass. Yeah. You're not a criminal until you're convicted by, and even so, it's like, I don't know. It's like you're innocent until proven guilty. especially when it's, you know, someone accusing you of like a sexual assault. Oh, then all of a sudden it's like innocent until proven guilty. And then as soon as it's someone on the street, oh, he's a criminal. It's fucked up.
Yeah. And they said that about George Floyd too.
Yeah.
This topic is, so kind of sum this up. We can circle back at the end, but so why did they end up suing?
So it was actually the way this came about. So he made a official complaint about the excessive force that he felt we used. It was reviewed by a third party. In Kansas City, we have an Office of Community Complaints. It was reviewed, and it wasn't just not agreed with. It was actually, so there's certain levels of their response, and it was the highest level of, which is unsubstantiated, which means they proved that it was, in fact, not excessive force, citing that I used department-approved technique, right? So that's the first level. He filed a official complaint.
Okay.
We said, no thanks, or not.
I'm sure somebody told him to file that
not
complaint.
we.
Yeah.
Why?
The third.
Why? Because he's so stupid? He's so dumb because he's a criminal? This guy's an idiot. This podcast host is a literal idiot.
Party.
Sorry, I missed it. I think my internet just...
No, you're good. All he said basically is like, they're talking about like who filed the report, who filed the lawsuit. And they're talking about like, you know, what they went through. So they said that there was a third party who said it was not excessive force. And I believe him on that. I'm sure that there was a, you know, internal investigation showing that, well, he used a technique that we teach in the police academy. And so therefore it's not excessive force. Okay. Like that's their internal investigation. Like I can buy that that's true, but you can still sue, you know, and that's what he did, the victim. Like, even though like he didn't agree with the internal investigation. So now it's like, okay, let it go further than that. Because you don't have to accept that, like, oh, the internal investigation said it's not excessive force. That's just one piece of evidence that you can use in court if you do sue.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I don't think he can sue anymore, by the way. I think it was, like, dismissed.
Oh. I don't know. Is it?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think it is.
Okay, let me look. I'll double check. And they also said, he's like the podcast host, the genius man that he is. He's like, I bet this guy didn't file the lawsuit. Someone filed it for him.
Yeah.
Or someone told him to. And I'm like, why? Because he's a criminal. He's so stupid. He has a busted lip, so therefore he's incapable of filing court documents. Like, I don't understand the insults from them. I don't know.
No affiliation.
Arbiter, yeah.
No affiliation other than reviewing our actions.
Right.
No one from the police department is employed there. They're a third party organization, and they review our actions. And they said unsubstantiated, not just unfounded. Like, hey, we couldn't really decide. So, you know, there's substantiated, unfounded, and then unsubstantiated. It was unsubstantiated.
Yeah.
So I you know, like I said, that happens in 2013. I leave the department in 2016. I find myself in the wonderful, amazing place we call Texas. I received this phone call. He had attempted on a couple of occasions to file a lawsuit prior to this. And those attorneys would take him on as a client, you know, kind of, I don't know what the right word is, pro bono, but where he wouldn't have to pay anything up front, and they would basically take a portion of his of what they won, right? He tried it on 4 attempts, and this is all information that came from the Attorney General's office of Missouri, the Western District of Missouri. He had made 4 attempts to try to sue the police department and myself. Every single time, they got the police report, the toxicology report, the dash cam video, the supplemental report from the ER doctor where he wakes up in the ER and says, what happened? And
Sir, like, you did a lot of drugs. That's what happened.
No, he said he wakes up, says, what happened? The last thing I remember, I was smoking a stick.
Okay.
Admits to being high, doesn't know what he's doing, completely consistent with PCP and everything, right? And every single time of those 4 times he tried to sue, the attorneys dropped him. They got the facts and they're like, not worth my time, man.
Yeah.
Why? So because it wasn't.
How does he know this? How would he know the inner workings of like which lawyers were taking the case or not? It seems like.
Yeah, and also he did sue. So
yeah. So
like every single time except the one he succeeded.
I see in 2018, the only thing I'm seeing now is like the lawsuit seeks an unspecified amount of damages and a jury trial. That's the only thing I've been able to find about it so far.
Yeah, I'm trying to, I found a bunch of links, but like I'm trying to sift through them. But if you want, I can send them here.
Yeah, I see one thing on Reddit, which, you know, is not anything specific. It says parties agreed to a settlement, never went to trial. But I don't know.
Oh, yeah, we're watching the same thing. There's like some Google stuff. I haven't really read everything on this. I was just trying to find out, but some of these don't exist. So I don't know. Yeah, I think we'll take, maybe he will say, let's keep listening. Maybe he says.
Going to win.
Right. So why did somebody pick it up?
So, Mr. Bills gets arrested for another felony, this time a much more substantial felony.
What number felony was it?
I believe it was number 7 was what I was told.
Lucky charm.
Gets to, as a part of a plea.
Fuck you, Anthony. God, he's so obvious.
To throw out some convictions from the past.
Jesus.
And as long as he pleads guilty to this new trafficking offense. Gets a public defender.
You realize how ridiculous this sounds, right?
Yeah, no, I absolutely do. He gets a public defender, and the public defender.
Your wife is sued for fucking scamming. So, okay, so now you're a person that has no rights anymore, that like that can just be physically assaulted because you have criminal issues. Like, look at yourself, dumb shits. Like, oh my God. It doesn't make sense. Like, oh, well, yeah, because he was involved in a different case, criminal case. Like, yeah, he deserved what happened. It's so ridiculous. He shouldn't be able to sue in this instance because he has other issues. Like, I don't know if it's my brain or like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, you can't see that those things aren't related, especially in the court of law.
Is this video recent?
It's from July. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, she was sued in like February.
Yeah, she's doing her own court case. So it's like, okay, for this guy to be like, you know how ridiculous this sounds? That someone that's got criminal issues is like trying to sue someone else for, you know, being beat up. It's like, no, I don't really see how it's ridiculous. I don't think one, you know, makes the other not okay. And I just noticed in the background, you see this, like the wood? Remember the wood? Every man that has a podcast has the same wood background.
This guy also has brick.
Exposed brick and wood paneling. God. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point, Taylor. Taylor's like, he probably doesn't remember what happened because his brain touched his skull and his head was slammed to the pavement by a man of God. Good point.
Yeah, exactly. It was a concussion not the reason why he didn't remember what happened. It was definitely the drugs. Like, definitely.
Definitely the drugs, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Annoying.
Is reviewing, fresh out of law school, reviewing cases while she's at home with her also fresh out of law school boyfriend. And mind you, I cannot confirm this.
Okay. It's funny how, you know, they can speak about lawsuits. They can talk about, you know, what lawyer dropped what, police, you know, brutality measures. But, a woman who just graduated law school, that's called a lawyer, I would imagine, if she's, you know, passed her bar. That's somehow, well, no, she's like an idiot. Or we're trying to make it seem like she's stupid or not qualified.
Yeah, so what's the problem with someone who's fresh out of law school? They still did like, I don't know, 6 years or something.
It's more law school than you have, Jordan.
Yeah, but that's fine because you can't use words like since inception.
Yeah. You can't confirm it though. It's like, okay, so this is just fake then, right? It's from Reddit also. Okay, sorry.
School boyfriend. And mind you, I cannot confirm this. This is what I am being told by my legal representation.
Mind you,
this is how it comes about.
True.
Mind you, this is a
reviewing
fictitious
cases
story.
at home, Netflixing and chilling, right? Slides is reviewing
Netflixing and chilling. I mean, that's
Excuse
sex.
me. Mind you, I can't confirm the Netflix and chilling.
Where did you get this info, this intel, sir? I don't know what he's talking about. I didn't go back. I'm sorry. I missed the whole day. I was talking about the wall. He's talking about something about someone reviewed the case and something, and he's trying to like devalue the person who found something about the case, I guess, because, you know, she has a boyfriend and just graduated from law school.
They were Netflix and chilling.
How dare her?
For some reason. Yeah. How dare she think about his lawsuit while Netflix and chilling with her boyfriend, who is also a lawyer. Fresh out of high school, fresh out of law school.
Yeah, okay.
Much more substantial
So I went back.
felony.
Okay.
What number felony was it?
I believe it was number 7 was what I was told.
Lucky charm.
Gets to, as a
I
part of the plea
believe
deal,
it was
gets
number
to
7, but
throw
it must have
out
been
some
1.
convictions from the past.
0, actually.
And as long as he pleads guilty to this new trafficking offense. Gets a public defender.
You realize
trafficking? What, he had some parking tickets?
No, like trafficking is like usually, and I don't know what they mean exactly, but usually it means like trafficking drugs, like selling drugs or taking drugs across the state line or whatever. I'm assuming is what they're talking about.
Absolutely. He gets a
drugs.
Public defender.
Yeah.
And the public defender is reviewing, fresh out of law school, reviewing cases while she's at
Okay, so it's the public defender on the secondary case that the victim in this instance has. So this is actually good. Okay, so she sounds like a hero actually, because public defenders are so overworked. They have so many cases. They're not paid like if you worked at a big law firm or if you worked for a company, you get like 6 figures plus. Public defenders, I don't know how much they make, but it's not enough to pay off their loans and the amount of casework that they have.
Yeah.
So it actually sounds like she's kind of a cool person, perhaps. I'm going to assume.
She's a bitch.
Yeah, she's a fucking bitch because she has Netflix. She's like not,
And she's chilling.
She's chilling too much.
Fresh out of law school. Boyfriend. And mind you, I cannot confirm this. This is what I am being told by my legal representation. This is how it comes about. Reviewing cases at home, Netflixing and chilling, right? Slides is reviewing the case file.
Slides. We don't know what he slides.
She slides.
File. Is that that's
she slides the video over to boyfriend and says, "Hey."
Wow, his legal team had all the details. Like they knew like the gestures she was making. She slides it over.
Yeah.
She doesn't hand him the phone.
Very interesting.
She slides the phone over to the naked boyfriend.
They were watching season 2 of Better Call Saul, fresh out of law school. Okay. They were actually eating Chipotle. It was a breezy night. Again, he's going into details that no one fucking needs.
Might have been with mayonnaise. No, mind you, I cannot confirm. Some sources suggest it might have been mayonnaise, not ketchup. Thank you.
Can't confirm. But I'm going to tell you all these details that are very specific.
They were Netflixing. Why is that? What the fuck is this story?
Is someone who's 25, probably years old, not allowed to have a boyfriend and watch Netflix and chill?
Well, imagine that being in front of a judge and telling the story. Like so, I think the lawyer came up with this idea when she was Netflix and chilling with her boyfriend. Like what? Sorry, what?
So what? And
yeah,
well,
exactly. Yeah. Well, that's
I'm a man
outrageous.
of Jesus. Okay.
I'm the only one who can have sex.
Yeah, I'm married.
Nobody else.
Okay. So he just goes on and on and on, never stops. My God.
Yeah.
Who he happens to work for a unnamed kind of reputation that precedes them, ambulance chasing law firm.
Yeah.
That may want to maybe drum this up. That attorney reaches out to him and says, "Hey man, we'll sue for you. In fact, I already made a phone call. The ACLU wants to piggyback on this, and we'll sue you. We'll sue you.
Good.
For you."
Wow,
So
he knows so many details.
Attorney saw it.
What does it have to do with anything
He
anyways?
knows everything
Yeah.
about how this went down.
Mm-hmm. He didn't know. He forgot because he was in Texas somehow and was on a mustache date with Brittany and had no idea any of this was transpiring. However, knows every single detail about how the case came to be.
Yeah.
Shocking. It's amazing. It's quite the feat. Jesus must have told him. Okay, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
But, the shift there is the culture had kind of shifted, right?
Yeah.
Now what do we have? It fits the narrative.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, white cop, black guy. There's a slam. It's not a slam. It's an arm drag and a leg sweep.
Yeah.
It's not my fault he went limp.
Sorry.
And I want to say this, brother.
The lawyer didn't know the technical police enforcement just like term for arm. What did he say? An arm grab and the feet sweep.
I'm writing that down. It's not my fault he went limp. That's a good
Yeah.
soundbite. Jesus. Yikes. Oh my God.
I didn't trip him. I arm dragged him and feet swept him. Like,
if you use the official terms, it's fine. Bye, kitty. Bye. Love you. She's over
Would
it.
I do it all over again, knowing what I know now? Absolutely.
Yeah.
He went limp.
Jesus!
He didn't fight
oh
back.
my God.
I didn't.
No remorse. The guy did not attack you. The guy got a busted face for no reason. Nothing happened. Oh my God. And another part of this too is like, okay, you arrested the guy, you put him in handcuffs, whatever. Guess what? He got out and he committed another crime, allegedly, immediately after. So what was your police work really good for? Fucking nothing. So maybe it's, it's not the best thing in the world to just arrest people for being on drugs. Because, like, what happened immediately afterwards? Allegedly. It's like, okay, so maybe this isn't the problem we should be solving here.
Yeah, no, that's okay. He got into the police to help people.